stakes are high. They bet big, they win big, they lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the Bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.
I see what you mean. It's a little hard to pick up on the table.
It is hard.
Yeah,
That belongs to Bart.
Am I on? There you go. Hello, and welcome to Live at the Bike. I'm David Tuckman, and welcome. It is Thursday night. I'm really excited. It was the media event today. Yours truly lasted about 3 minutes. I kind of went with the same strategy that I was going to go with in the World Series and lost pretty much right away. Bart lasted about 20 minutes, lasted longer than me. But our own Ronnie, our card boy, split it up and ended up winning $500. So well done, Ronnie. We've got quite a treat for you. It is Thursday night. Normally it's kind of small stakes, but because of Legends, we have a 10-20 game down. It's a little short right now because of a tournament that just started. There's actually the Frank Mariani Jerry Buss charity event going on right now. Just started. And but once those players start getting knocked out, I'm sure they will pop into the game, and the game will be absolutely fabulous. That was Ronnie. And let's get to the game. Let's get to the action. We've got in seat number 1, we've got Mo, Action Mo, and Mo has really promised to really been a lot of action today. Seat number 3, we've got Jerry. And don't know much about Jerry. He's a new player. He's got a lot of money there, though. Seat number 4, he's a real live one of the biggest fish we'll ever see out here. That's Bart. Bart Hansen, our own, live at the Bike. Hopefully he'll make us proud. Seat number 5, we've got Sean. Sean's an interesting player. Actually, I was playing with him before the show started in a 10-20 game. And Sean I saw him steam off a lot of money with Pocket Jacks, and then I got caught up with a hand with him, and I ended up giving him $800. I thought he was steaming, but he actually had a real hand. Seat number 7, we've got our own, seat number 8, sorry, we've got Aaron. And Aaron's in there for $5,000. And seat number 9, we have Alan. And Alan actually is only going to be here for about a half hour because he is actually playing in this tournament today. Once again, we are live at the Bike. I'm David Tuckman. We got a 10-20 no-limit hold'em game, $1,000 minimum buy-in, unrestricted max. And I'm sure this game promises to get big. Just like last night, the game will probably start out slow the first half hour, but once it gets going, there'll be no stopping it. Today's tournament starts actually, almost every other tournament started at noon, at 4:15. But because of today, we had a media invitational tournament at noon. The Mariani Buss No Limit Hold'em tournament actually starts at 7:15 p.m., which is causing a little bit of havoc for our game. But I'm sure by 8 o'clock, our game will be filled up with lots of juicy players.
That would have been complicated if it got...
Button is going to move over to Alan, and we're going to jump right into the game. If you want to keep the show interactive, which is how I like it, you can email me at live@thebike.com. You can also follow a live thread over at 2plus2.com. Go to televised poker and other stuff, and go to Live at the Bike thread for August 24th. Thank Kev Math for starting that up every single night. I got to tell you, unbelievable how dedicated that guy is. Mo with ace-10 here in the small blind. And I got to tell you, normally not a raising hand, but short-handed with this lineup, he is definitely going to raise it up. And sure enough, he makes it $100 more. You got to realize this lineup here. Now, Bart, obviously a very solid player, but short-handed, I wonder if Bart maybe is a little bit too passive. We know Alan, and Alan obviously is probably way too passive for short-handed play. Alan coming off a huge win last night. Last night's show, probably one of the best shows in the history of Live at the Bike, by the way. If you did not catch it, go get it. Once again, if you're watching this right now, you are watching the first free half of an hour of Live at the Bike. If you're not a subscriber, you can subscribe by clicking on the top left corner, I think it's on-demand archive banner. Click on it, and for $14.95, you get this show, the entire thing. You get last night's show, which is ridiculous. We had Barry Greenstein in the booth for 3 hours. We had a 5,100 no-limit game, over 200K at the table at the end of it all. It was absolutely ridiculous.
So what is it, just padding?
If you missed that show last night, you really got to check it out. And we're going to see it heads up here. Flop is Queen 8-6, couple of spades. Wow, big flop for Sean. Real big flop. He's got top pair plus the spade draw. Mo's really got nothing. And sure enough, Sean is going to bet. Mo's going to throw it away. See a little grin there by Sean. So we're really gearing up. A lot of big names in last night. Last night, after the show ended, actually, we had Kenna James in the game last night. We have Jeff Cabanillas Gentleman who won the World Series of Poker bracelet. He beat Phil Hellmuth in a heads-up match. We had him in the show last night. We had Yoshida Kano. Johnny Chan actually joined the game and bought in for about $35,000 after the show ended. We actually left the stream running. I wasn't sure if anybody caught that or not. Email me, let me know if you actually watched it or not. I think I actually came in the booth and sang a song or two. So I do apologize for that. And once again, our big tournament, our World Poker Tour No Limit Hold'em Championship starts on Saturday, August 26th, starts at 2 p.m. And how about this for a $1.5 million guaranteed first place? That's not guaranteed prize pool. That's guaranteed first place, $1.5 million. Absolutely off the hook. Button moves over to Bart's spot here, seat number 4. Small blind 10, big blind 20. And I got to tell you, I love shorthanded play. Bart and I were kind of going back and forth. Who wants to play? I've spent so much time in Vegas away from the show. I kind of feel inclined to be in the booth. So let Bart play for a little bit. Maybe Bart will play hour and a half or so. And when the game fills up, he'll come back in the booth. And it folds around. Button moves over to Sean's spot in seat number 5. Yeah, and sure enough, a lot of the 2+2ers here. After last night's game, I think a 20-40 game is in order. Anything else would just seem too small. And honestly, the 20-40 seemed like a realistic option, and it probably would go by 9 o'clock. The problem is that this tournament, this Mariani Bus Cocktail Party tournament, starting right now, literally starting at 7:15 p.m., really puts us in a bad spot. Now, Bart is going to raise it up in the cutoff seat with 5 deuce offsuit, and he's going to attack Allen's blind here. Not a bad spot to do it. Allen calls him with king deuce, and sure enough, Allen misses. So what's going to happen here is Allen's going to check it, Bart's going to bet, and Allen's going to fold. And that's pretty much free money, and you got to tell you, that's a great strategy to attack Allen's blind. Nice play by Bart. Actually, a pretty good flop for Bart in a sense. Flop's an open-ended straight draw. If you're going to raise with 5 deuce offsuit, why not hit that way? And Allen a big winner last night. Jonas also a big winner last night. Our favorite Riverboat King on 2+2 won about $23,000 or $24,000 last night. Yes, that's right, $23,000 or $24,000. Mike, by the way, lost a huge pot after the show just ended. Probably lost about $18K last night. Corporation Mike. I tell you, last night's show, I went back and I watched it right away. Barry Greenstein, I swear to God, all I wanted to do was just feed this guy questions and let him talk. Really a phenomenal guy. Now, Mo's got a pair, and I got to tell you, 6-handed, that's a pretty strong hand. He's going to bump it up. Jerry's not going to call with Queen Jack. And I don't think Allen's even going to call this with King 7. And he throws it away. And Mo takes it down. Once again, if you have any questions, comments, you can always email me at live@thebike.com. You are watching a free half hour of Live at the Bike. At 7:30, it will turn off, and you will be redirected if you are not a subscriber. And I got to tell you, even if you hate Bart and me, even if you hate our commentary, the ability to watch live poker, live cash poker, night in, night out, and watch the archives and study them, probably the best learning tool out there. It really is. And there's Lynette Chan. Bart never fails an opportunity to hug an Asian girl. Flop comes out King, King, Jack. Both players miss. Aaron is still in the lead here. And it checks around. Turns another club here, 5 of clubs. Let's see if Aaron tries to take this one away. And sure enough, Aaron's going to bet $100 and he takes it down. Pretty tight table. I got to tell you, if you're Mo here, I got to think him running his table over here. Sean there's not really mixing it up too much. Aaron, obviously, a little bit more passive. Bart, somewhat passive. Now, Lynette Chan, you really wonder what's going to happen with her. She's a very, very good player. She's a very tight player. I wonder if she can adapt to a smaller table. Now, this is going to be 7-handed, though, when she jumps in. And I got to tell you, she's absolutely adorable. Some other news I will tell you about Legends of Poker. I tell you, Legends of Poker, August, my favorite month of the year now. Not only is the action so good here, but the players that come in, it's just so much fun doing this work. 10-10-3, a couple of clubs out there. And what happens more often than not in a short-handed game, everybody misses. Now, Bart's going to bet his flush draw, and we talk about this all the time, obviously. By Bart betting, Bart would bet a 3, Bart would bet a 10. Bart would bet pocket 7s, he'd bet pocket 5s, and he's also going to bet his flush draw. So it really puts somebody, in trouble. They don't really know what he has. What is he betting here? And in this case, he's able to steal it with a nice semi-bluff. Now, anyway, real exciting moment. The circuit, 2 card players, the circuit, Scott Huff, Gavin Smith, Joe Seabach, they're going to be here all week long. So while they're here, you can call the donk line. The number there is 877-675-1306. Once again, that's 877-675-1306. It's called the donk line, and you go right into Gavin Smith and Joe and Scott. You can ask your poker-related questions. And what's more exciting than that is apparently on Tuesday, we are going to have a Live at the Bike versus the circuit. Live at the Bike versus card player David Tuckman, myself, Bart Hansen versus Gavin Smith and Joe Seabach in a couple of heads-up matches. And I got to tell you, I am so excited about that. If Bart doesn't screw it up, I tell you, he better do well, or I'm going to beat his ass. Ridiculous. So there it is. Call the donk line. 877-675-1306. The circuit, actually a really, really cool show. Scott Huff's program there with Gavin Smith and Joe Seabach. I'm a huge fan and a big follower. I've actually watched every single one. Well, listen to every single one, that is. Now we got a king-queen in seat number 8. And he decides to limp in first position. Now, normally king-queen in first position is not a raising hand, but short-handed, it's actually king-jack, I'm sorry. King-jack, I got to tell you, that's not a hand I want to see multi-way. I got to tell you, I'm probably either folding it in first position or I'm going to bring it in for a raise. It's not a hand that plays well multi-way, but obviously a lot of ways to skin a cat. Jack 5-3, and he has flop top pair. Problem is, though, he doesn't really know where he's at. I mean, remember, the blinds could have anything. Blind could be in there with Jack 5, 5-3, 6-4, who knows? He's going to put a little feeler bet out there, and it's going to be enough to take it down, though. And I'd love to hear some of your emails on what your opinion was of last night's show. We had Patrick Pools in here, 2-time bracelet winner at the World Series. And unfortunately, we had to kick him out because Barry came in here, kind of trumped him. And we had Barry in here for, 2.5 hours? And we put an extra hour of the show last night, which is what we're going to try to do once in a while if the show is just absolutely phenomenal. Joe Seabach was playing in the Limit Hold'em tournament last night, and I think he got knocked out on the final table bubble. I want to say he got knocked out 10th or 11th, and apparently it was 10th. King Jack 9. Lynette here at the best hand here, Queen Jack. Let's see if she bets it. Now she's going to check it. And Alan is going to bet it here. Now, Alan's got Queen 10. Alan has made the nuts here. He has flopped the nut straight. And Lynette just folds. Doesn't even get involved. She's got a gut shot with second pair. Just check and fold. Real passive play, but in that case, she was 100% correct. And I got to tell you, one of my favorite things, if you can get into a game 4 or 5-handed against a couple of passive players that are somewhat predictable, that's really where your skill can shine through. When you're playing 9-handed, sometimes it's hard to exploit somebody's weakness because you have to get a decent hand when they have something. And you have to be lucky enough to get in the hand with the person you're trying to exploit. But when you're playing 4-handed or 5-handed, it's that much more likely to get in a hand with that person. Now, they've got a couple of big hands here. Aaron with pocket kings. And Alan with jacks. So seat 8, the small blind's got kings. Alan and the big blind's got jacks. Let's see how they play it. Now, Mo is going to bump it up a little let me see where I'm at thing with king jack suited. We're going to get a call by Lynette with pocket 5. I'm sorry. We actually get a call by Sean with pocket 5s. Lynette calls with queen 9 of clubs. And wow, you know what? Seat 8 makes it 200 to go. That's not a very big raise, I got to tell you. I'd probably make it more like 300 to go after you get a $50 raise. He makes it 200 to go. That brings Alan in Obviously, Mo is not going to call with a dominated hand like King Jack, but Sean is going to call with pocket fives. And Lynette, does she feel like she's pot committed here? Does she feel like she has to call this? And she's thinking about it. Queen 9 of clubs. Do I want him? Nah. She's going to throw it away. And we're going to see this three ways. Kings versus jacks versus fives. Pot is quickly $700. And there's the flop, 9-4-4. And is Alan in trouble? Is Alan in trouble? And Alan is going to raise it. I think he's raising it all in. Wow. And let's get word of how much the bet was. The original bet, I want to say, was $400, which was about half the pot. The pot was $700, remember? So $1,100. And Alan is going to go in for $1,000 additional. So we're talking about $800, $1,500. Pot is $2,500. Pot is $2,500, $1,000 to call. Aaron makes the easy call there. And Alan is in a lot of trouble here. Pot is $3,500, but there's the jack. Oh, my. And I got to tell you, Alan, I swear to God, I don't know who he slept with. I don't know what he did, but he has been on absolute fire. He can't lose. It's ridiculous. I mean, that is absolutely sickening. I mean, time and time again. I mean, Bart just smiles at it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Alan, I swear to God, he's won 30 grand last week. He won 31 grand this week. I mean, last night. And then here he catches his 2-outer. Oh, God. I mean, that's just sick. And that's a $3,500 swing there with the jack on the river. Man, when you're running good, you're just running good. What are you going to do? Once again, you're watching a free half hour of Live at the Bike. If you like what you're seeing and you want to see more, just all you got to do is click on the archive banner, sign up, and you can see the rest of this show plus every show we've ever done. We started this, by the way, last February, so we probably have over 2,000 hours of content. Absolutely sick. Now, Bart's got kings, Lynette's got tens. Bart makes it 110. Lynette's going to call. Alan's going to call. Alan calls with queen 5. And I think Paul's going to call here. Wow, we're seeing this 5 ways here. Pot is $600. And, well, Bart's flopped quads. Bart has flopped quads. How is he going to play it? Let's see. Bart flops quad kings. And he checks it. I can't believe it. I never heard it. Oh, my. And the turn is a 10, and Lynette has just made 10s full. Wow, you talk about giving a free card, letting your opponent get there. And Lynette, oh, man, is she in trouble. She is in huge trouble here.
Raise it 400.
Now, is there any way, remember, now Bart is raised pre-flop, and then he slow plays it. Now he's showing strength. Might you put him on queens full? Obviously, it's tough to put anybody on quads, but you got to think, what would he slow play? Could he have aces? Let's see where I'm at. Could he have jacks? Okay, that's fine. I can beat that. But I can't beat queens. Obviously, I can't beat king-queen. I can beat ace-king, though. And Lynette here, I mean, Bart gives the card off, and Lynette, she's in a lot of trouble here. By the way, we do have jackpot possibilities here. If a 10 were to come off on the river, we would see a jackpot. Bad beat jackpot. And I don't know if Lynette can get away from this. I really don't. Hand it to her. She's not going to make an impulsive move here. I believe Bart bet 500. Bart's bet 700. He's actually over-betting the pot. The pot is now 1,300, 700 to call. And Lynette really thinking of, what do I do here? Now, in some ways, you might put Bart on jacks here. Like, he was scared of the flop. Now the 10 comes off. He's open-ended, so he figures, okay, nobody else has got a king. Maybe I can take it away. And Lynette is going to move in, I think. I mean, look at the way her hand is there. I don't think she gets away from this. And I don't know if we can blame her. And she is going to min-raise here, and she has pot committed herself. And, I mean, right now, Bart might as well move all in because there's no way. And obviously, Alan going to throw away his queen there. Realizes that it's not good. And she raises it 1,100 more. The pot is, and Bart's going to move all in, and she's pot committed, and he knows that. And we're talking about 11, 15, 3,000. We're looking at about a $4,000 pot. And we're looking for a 10 here on the river for a jackpot. 10. Come on, give it to me one time. And it's not there. There's the jack of diamonds. And Bart is going to win about a $3,700 pot there with quad kings. And that's the reason you should pay for the archives. Not only do we teach you poker, not only are we entertaining, but we teach you how to flop quads. Okay? You want to learn how to flop quads, you watch our show.
You should want it a few times.
Can you run it 2 times to try to hit the jackpot?
Now, unfortunately, the first one is the jackpot.
No, the first one. I run it 42 times.
Yeah,
The first one is for the jackpot.
Run the whole deck.
I run it
the whole
42
deck.
times.
Run the whole deck.
Let's run it 42 times.
It's the end of the deck.
I'm on. And I'm back. And we have a special treat here. While Bart is playing, we're going to get Scott Preston from Bluff Radio in the booth.
How you doing, David?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Man, good to see you.
Now, this is a gentleman that actually called me. How are you?
Great.
This is a gentleman that called me Brian Tushman after I won the media event. Yes. Gentleman said,
I call you the name they hand me on the card.
right,
you know?
exactly. This is the gentleman that I win the media event. I win no money.
Who the hell's Brian Tushman
Right.
anyway?
I'm bitching about Harrow's not giving me anything. I sit on the radio at Bluff, and I get in there and they go, well, we're here with Brian Tushman. I'm going, who the fuck is Brian Tushman? Yeah, we can say that on the show. It's okay.
I apologize for our major screw
It's
up
okay.
there.
It's not a problem. Once again, we're live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman. Bart Hansen is in the game. We're playing 1020 No Limit Hold'em here. It's an unrestricted buy-in game, and we are here with Bluff Radio commentator Scott Preston. Now, you
Right.
did a lot of the commentary for the World Series of Poker. How did you find that experience?
It was a phenomenal experience. We were there for 6 weeks, every day from 3 till past midnight, commentating on the play of the hands that were going on at the table, interviewing celebrity poker stars and guys that win media events, that sort of stuff, and just having a ball, answering phone calls from people that were calling in. We still have our show on Sirius and do the same kind of thing, and we'll be doing more of these kind of things from WPT events. We were hoping to do this one that's going on now.
I was going to wonder,
the
why are you not here for the Legends World Poker Tour? Obviously, we're starting on Saturday. Why are you not here?
All I know right now is that all the T's weren't crossed and the I's weren't dotted enough to get us in time for this Legends of Poker, which is a real shame. I really wish we were here for this final table, but I think we're on to the next one that's in October.
Okay.
And then hopefully we'll be here next year to cover the Legends of Poker, and maybe even October when it's.
They couldn't meet your salary demands?
That was part of it.
Yeah.
That was part of it. I demanded kibble and they refused.
Okay, sounds good. I like that. Now, it must have been really interesting. Obviously, our show is interactive as well. We take emails and we have a live thread. It must have been really interesting taking those phone calls in, watching the World Series and people emailing you and going, what the hell is he doing? What is he doing? You did enjoy that?
Well, we didn't have anybody emailing us in while we were there, but we had phone calls, and we only took the phone calls while play wasn't going on, per se, unless it was a special segment. But if they were doing play-by-play, of course, they weren't taking phone calls during that and letting people ask questions about, well, why did he raise with ace-queen, that kind of thing.
Right. Now, Bart does not chop, by the way, so Sean raised it with ace-queen. Bart's going to throw away the 10-6 of hearts, and we are going to move on here. Button moves over to Bart's spot in seat number 4.
You have none this year, right?
And seat number 7 there, Lynette is rebought for another $1,000.
Good thing she came loaded after that full house. That's just tough, How do you put somebody on quads?
Yeah, it's real tough. Bart obviously he's a big advocate, and so am I, for fast playing your hand, playing it hard. Obviously, when you get quads, you kind of want to let your opponent get something, catch something.
And he was lucky that she had 10s and tripped up her 10s to make 10s full.
Right. Obviously, he's not going to make much more money otherwise. You wonder if he had bet it though. Allen in seat number 9. He's one of those players that he might have called with a queen. He really would have. I'm not sure if he would have made. Obviously, Bart got real lucky. A 10 hits the river, the turn, and makes a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Now we got a couple of big hands here. Ace King, Jerry. Ace King suited for Lynette. Now Allen actually raised it up, and Allen's got 6-7 of diamonds. Wow, that's not really usually a raising hand for Allen. Allen kind of coming out of the box. Allen's one of those guys who usually raises with aces or kings and nothing else. Flop comes out 9-10 deuce. And the only person that really hit was Sean in seat number 5. He's open-ended.
No big help for Ace King there.
No, that's a pretty ugly flop for Ace King. But that's not going to stop Jerry from betting $130 in position. And Sean is going to call. And we always try to talk about it. I like to bet my draws. I really do. Put the heat on my opponent.
Sure.
You know, I'm going to bet my sets, I'm going to bet my 2 pair, but I'm also going to bet my draws. Really put the heat on an opponent. In this case here, Sean is just checking and calling, and if he were to bet, he probably would have taken it down. The turn is a 7, and Sean is going to make the hand, but he's not going to really make any money. Nobody's got anything. And it checked around. The river was a 3. Sean decided to check the turn. Another play I'm not a big fan of. I like to build a pot when I have a hand. You always see the best players in the world.
Yeah.
If they have a big hand, it's usually a big pot. Rarely do you see a big pot and the best player in the world turning over 1 pair. It's usually 2 pair, trips, a set, or something. I know, a straight, something like that.
Exactly.
Now, when you're seeing less experienced players, you're often seeing them drag in a very small pot with a monster hand.
Yeah, you have a great advantage to build on your skills here watching this day in, day out. Do you do this every day?
Every day, Monday through Friday, 7 to 10, we do Live at the Bike.
Phenomenal.
It's a great gig, I tell you.
Right,
I try to convince our viewers that, obviously, most of the ones that watch obviously know, even if they were to hate Bart and I, even if you were to mute us, watching live cash games and watching every single hand, nothing edited out,
right,
which is what you see on ESPN or anything else, watching every hand is such a help to your game. It's ridiculous. Aaron's got ace-king suited here. And he looks like he just limps in here. And I believe, I want to say everybody called? Well, everybody but Sean.
I did one more play.
Well, actually, it's 6 ways. I'm sorry. Flop comes out. 10-5-4. Once again, not a good flop for ace-king.
A lot of these players, they're in here all the time doing Live at the Bike?
Well, it's funny. We've got, since Legends of Poker's here, we got a lot of new faces from the tournament, which is nice.
Yes.
During off months, October, November, and stuff, we'll see a lot of the regulars. And Bart is going to bet $100 here with second pair. He's 1 off the button. Why not take it down? Nice aggressive play. I got to take it back. I really thought Bart might play it a little passively. Really playing a nice game here. I got to tell you, Bart is one of those guys. His game, honestly, has been elevated from being a commentator on this show. Now, seen him before. He's my co-commentator.
Oh, okay.
His game is elevated from being on this show.
Right.
Probably 500%.
Is that right?
It's ridiculous. It's not even close. It's scary. When I used to play with Bart, and Bart knows this, I thought of this, I actually thought he was somewhat of a weak passive player. I did not mind playing with him because I thought he was somewhat weak. Now, Bart is really a good player. I look to avoid him. I do not want to mix it up with him at all because he's a winning player, and he plays very well.
How often does he play now?
He plays pretty much 5 days a week, probably 40 hours a week now.
Now, is he mic'd up out there to talk to you?
No, he's not.
Just the table is sort of mic'd overall.
Exactly. We've got mics. We've got microphones in the table and then above the table as well. Alan is going to go play in the tournament. Once again, today's tournament was the Mariani Bus Charity Tournament. $1,500 no limit tournament. Started at 7:15. Flop is 8-3-3 here. Both players miss. But Bart is going to make a continuation bet here. And, I got to tell you, it's probably going to be enough to take it down unless Sean wants to make a move on him. And that's the bet, and that's obviously the advantage of being the bettor. Taking the betting lead, you really put your opponent on their heels.
Absolutely.
And you've heard of 2+2, the forum?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a live thread that we follow every night. KevMath actually started this on our first show back in last February. February of 2005. This guy, he is the only person that hasn't missed a show. We've all missed shows. Our director, I've missed shows. KevMath, though, the most dedicated guy in the world.
And where's he? What's he doing?
He's actually in Syracuse, upstate New York.
And he's somehow working your website here?
Well, no, it's not it's 2+2. He just happens to have a forum called it's a Live at the Bike official forum.
And he's feeding it in?
Pretty much, yeah. We just go there and we kind of follow it along. And it's a great way to keep the show interactive. We kind of like keeping it almost like a sports talk show,
Right.
Talk radio. Now I'm really excited, actually. Obviously, the circuit. The circuit is actually coming here on Saturday, and we're actually going to do a Live at the Bike, me and Bart versus the circuit.
In the morning, in our morning show?
Yeah, no, we're actually going to do a little heads-up match.
Yeah.
Live at the Bike versus the circuit. Gavin Smith and Joe Seabach versus me and Bart.
So you guys will be out on the tables against Gavin and Joe Seabach.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Now, you think Seabach will be wearing any kind of outfit for this, like a Spider-Man or
I'm thinking I'm going to
Yogi Bear?
I think I'm going to make a bet here. Now, we got a couple of big hands here. I want to stop in there. Now, this is huge. Sean And I believe Sean is still in there. Sean is now open-ended with a flush draw. Tony is open-ended with a pair of sixes. Mo has got the straight already. The river's an ace, helps nobody, and Mo is going to win this with a straight. He flopped the straight. He's going to bet $300. And you wonder, is Tony going to call here? Seat number 2, that is Filipino Tony, Tournament Tony, we like to call him. He's one of those guys that he likes to trap players, solid tournament player. Now, in a cash game, I think he's somewhat of a liability for himself in the sense that he seems to pay off players too much.
Is that Mo you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about Tony in seat number 2.
Okay.
Now, even he gets away from 5-6 there, obviously. Not a good turn or a river there for him. Sean's got nothing. Sean's got queen high. He's not going to call him. Mo's going to take this down. One of the reasons I love doing this show also is obviously, I mean, you're familiar with, like, you know, obviously the TV shows, World Poker Tour on Travel Channel, World Series on ESPN. And the thing that kind of annoys me about those shows, and I like them, and obviously, I mean, I enjoy them, but at the same time, I don't think they're very educational. I think they're just entertainment value.
Right, and the further along they go, they're becoming more of that, like the Pro Poker Tour, or even the brand new World Series of Poker main event that just aired yesterday, I do believe.
Right.
Or the day before, I'm not sure. It's just so fast. You don't know what's going on. They're not telling you anything. You don't know what the blinds are. You don't know what the chip stacks are. What's going on? You just know what, you know, somebody was in a hand and he won.
Right.
Kind of stuff. And yeah, it's more entertainment value.
Hold on a second. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, I was going to say, one of the things that kind of annoys me about that show is the fact that you don't see the whole story. So when somebody makes a big bluff on another player, you don't know why. You don't see the build-up. And I almost kind of equate it to watching, like, imagine you didn't watch a football game or a baseball game, you just watched the ESPN highlights at 11 p.m.
That's right.
It's kind of the equivalent, where our shows, I feel like you see the entire game.
That's
right. You see it all.
That's
you see
cool.
why a bluff happens. You see a setup. You see the history between two players. And Aaron flops trips here. Sean's got top pairs. Sean going to get stuck here. Let's see what happens. And I believe Aaron's on the button. It checks to him. He's going to bet it. Sean calls. The turn is a 3 of clubs. And let's see what Sean does here. Sean is going to bet loud now here. And he bets $500. And if you're Aaron, might you raise it up here? Now, we always talk about building a pot. Sometimes by raising it up, you're a little bit more deceptive than actually calling. People expect you to smooth call with a deuce. They don't expect you to raise it. And he is going to raise it up here. He makes it 1,000 to go. Little minimum raise here. And remember, Sean can't even really beat a real 8. He can't even beat ace-8.
He doesn't look so good. I would get out of that.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got to start thinking, what is this guy raising with? Would he raise with ace-8, or would he just smooth call? You got to start thinking, this guy's probably got a deuce, or he's got nothing at all, and do you really want to go to war with Jack-8 here? But what do we know? What do we know? Sean's going to call, and he's going to need an 8 and 8 only. 6 of spades on the river changes nothing, and Sean is in a lot of trouble here.
Well, even the 8 would do him no good. Sean would or Aaron would have a full house then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, Sean would have had this full house, 8s over deuces. He would have the bigger full house of an 8 fall.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right.
Now, Sean checks to Aaron, I believe, and the action is on Aaron. And he's moved all in, but he hasn't put his chips in. Now, the dealers are supposed to require them to put their chips in. Makes it a lot easier for us. And Aaron is all in, and it looks like he's got about, I'm going to estimate, maybe $2,000 there. Let's see if Sean calls here. Sean can only beat a bluff. I mean, I'm trying to think of something that maybe this guy would have raised with on the come. I mean, 4 or 5 of clubs even got there. You know what I mean? Something like that where he picked up a club draw and a straight draw with the 3 of clubs, but even that got there. I mean, really, what can Jack-8 beat? I mean, except just a guy making a move. Just a random move.
Exactly.
We always try to talk about it. Obviously, this is not a tournament. People don't make moves that often. It's more of, you can pick your spots. The blinds aren't escalating.
Yeah, I'm always leery. When somebody's pushing in a lot of chips, I don't often believe that they're out there bluffing.
Yeah, more often than not, they've got it. Now, unless you know
right.
the player, if you have a history of the player and you kind of know, well, in that case, it puts you in a spot where, okay, well, I know this guy might bluff 1 out of 3 times. Okay, I can make this call. In this case, though, Aaron has moved all in for $2,000. Sean, this is just easy lay down. It really is.
Unless he gets sticky and just doesn't want to lay his hand down. Thinks that his 8 is good.
The funny thing is the guy's on the button and he's going, I guess his thought is, well, why would he be in there with a deuce? You know, why not? It's a no-limit hold'em game. You're very deep, a lot of implied odds. And in this case, he's in there with ace-deuce suited. Why not?
I think he's got to be thinking, cardinal rule, don't put all your chips in with one pair. And that's essentially what he's got if he's only got the 8 in his hand and an 8 on the board.
Right.
I don't really count the 2s as a second pair.
Yeah,
he gets rid of it.
And Sean throws it away. It's a pretty easy laydown. I always like to point out, my mama always said, don't go broke in an unraised pot.
Right.
So.
Good words to live by.
Once again, we are live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman here with Scott Preston from Bluff Radio. Now, how do you find doing the commentary for... Now, you obviously don't get to see the cards.
That's right.
A lot more difficult than it is for us.
So a lot of it becomes reading what we suppose they have. And
Right.
when we had the main event go on the final day, we had Daniel Negreanu on doing a play-by-play with Howard David. Daniel was amazing at picking up his reads because when they would turn the cards up, most of the time Daniel was right about what cards who was playing.
Yeah.
He was very good, and he was reading Jamie very well.
I mean, there's a reason why that guy is such a world-class player.
Absolutely. In fact, we were on the radio last night. One of our callers called in and said, how do you learn to read people? And I said, there's Daniel Negreanu's all over the television right now. He's on the Tunica, Mississippi WSOP. He's on the Professional Poker Tour show. And he's always talking. He mumbles it under his breath. I think you have pocket 5s or pocket 6s, that kind of thing. And, he sits there and talks about what I think you have to his opponents.
Now, you see here right away, and this is part of what I love about the show. Oh, wow, big flop here for Sean. I was going to say, what I kind of like about the show is you see the history. Sean, maybe he would not have called a raise normally, but he just played a hand with Aaron, just lost a big pot to Aaron, and maybe he's thinking, you know what, I'm going to get this guy. So he's in there with Jack 9 of clubs out of position, and he gets lucky enough to flop a big flop here. Now, Rafi is open-ended in seat number 9, but with 2 clubs out there, do you really want to get involved? And Aaron here, he's got a gut shot. He's pretty much out of it. And the action is on Aaron. He's going to put a continuation bet, though. He's going to put $200 in there. And I got to tell you, if Rafi calls this, if I'm Sean, I'm really going to push. My hand is big enough to push here where I don't mind with top pair and a flush draw getting a lot of money in there. And I apologize, seat 5 was the original better.
Oh, and
he got called by Aaron. And Rafi, look at this. Rafi catches his 7 that is not a club. Normally you've got 8 outs when you're open-ended. Rafi only had 6 outs, and he catches it. And Sean is going to bet $600. I think it's time for Aaron to check out here. Ace-King here, I think it's just bye-bye. I mean, unless you really want to call for that gut shot.
All in.
And Rafi is going to move all in here with the nuts. And Sean quickly calls, and we got a big, big pot here. And the river's a club. Wow, look at that. Unbelievable. And Sean is going to double through there. Let's get word of how much money Sean had there. I want to say it was about $1,200 more. So that pot was literally $2,400, $3,800. We're looking at about a $4,500 pot there that Sean takes down. And you can't really blame him. And can you look at it and go, well, can you get rid of Jack 9 there? When the 7 comes on the turn, remember Jack 9, he also has that gut shot for the straight draw as well. An 8 gives him a straight. A club gives him the hands.
Right.
He's not that deep. Remember, he only had $1,300 left. $1,300 to win $4,500. Maybe you got to call. Maybe you're pot committed at some point.
Rafi just sat down. What did he buy in for? Do we know?
He bought in for more. He actually bought in for about $3,000. Apparently, Scotty Wynn, the Prince of Poker, is in the house.
Beautiful.
During the Legends of Poker, we'll get all the big names here.
So,
And got an email here from Jason Hargreaves referencing last night's show. Effing amazing. Last night's show, by the way, 5,100 blinds. Barry Greenstein did about 2.5 hours of commentary.
Is that right? Oh, he's just great at it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, and his poker brain just opens up and spills out and lets you know what's going on and really knows how to read these guys and tell you what he would do in these sort of situations. It must have been amazing. I wish I would have known he was on because I would have stayed tuned for that.
Yeah, it was great. Well, you can always go to this archives. It's in there.
I'll do that.
Got an email here from Jive Dadson here. Jive's always one of our... we have a love-hate relationship with Jive Dadson.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and he said, last night's show was the best ever. Barry could have saved some time by simply saying, hey, just listen to what Jive Dadson says. Jive's not a very humble man. But, of course, new viewers would not have known what he meant. Thank you, Jive.
I gave him 200.
And look at this, and Eric Wardenberg actually correctly points out early on in the night when Alan sucked out on Aaron's kings, Alan hit a jack on the river. It was actually a one-outer because Mo folded king-jack. But the way Allen's been running, that's pretty much par for the course. And the button moves over to seat number 3. And look at this. Apparently, not only is Bart not doing commentary, but he's sitting out of the game. God, the audacity of that guy. I mean, I swear. It's unbelievable. I know, did you actually see him with a cigarette in his mouth? What does he think? He's Sammy Farha? Unreal. We get a raise here from seat number 2. That's Tony. He's got King Queen suited. Actually, King Jack suited, sorry. Actually, it's not even suited. I'm sorry. Just 2 red. It's a King Jack, and they're both red. But there's the King. Rafi calling a raise out of position with 5-7 offsuit. You wonder if maybe he's steaming a little bit.
Just a little, I guess.
Yeah.
But he's out of there now.
We talked to Barry last night about it, and I got to tell you, 90% of the money that you win and lose in No Limit Hold'em, or in any poker really, is won and lost when you're steaming or when your opponents are steaming.
Interesting theory.
I tell you, it's 100% in cash games. It's not even close.
I very seldom steam. If I lose a hand, I just let it go.
It's really important.
It's just not worth it.
We've seen so many players on this show where they play great poker for like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And then 5% of the time, they just kind of steam through it. And they win 90% of the time, and the 5% of the time they lose everything they won plus more.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And that's usually by bad decision making.
Of course.
Yeah.
Which is influenced by, a bad play. We got a raise here from Lynette with pocket queens, and she's going to take it down. Actually, they chopped it up. I got to tell you, it's one thing I never do. I just don't chop.
You're not a chopper?
I'm not a chopper. I want to play.
I'll chop. But I got to go. You got to be 100%. Other than pocket aces, because you can hit a jackpot hand or something like that. That came up at the table. I was playing at table 1 today, out here at the bike, and that sort of came up that this guy wouldn't chop when he had aces, but he normally chops.
It's actually hard to hit. It's actually easier to hit a jackpot if somebody else has jacks, queens, or kings, and you have ace, king, or ace, queen.
Yeah.
Pocket aces is actually really hard to hit a jackpot.
I have never been in a jackpot table, so it doesn't really affect me. I don't really think about it as a possibility. It's a 1 in a million shot.
Now, what games do you normally play? What level do you usually play at?
I play at No Limit 2-5 or 5-10.
Okay, now, I was going to say...
Or 3-5.
If you're going to play 2-5 or 3-5, normally the blinds are such with the rake, it doesn't really make sense not to chop.
Right.
But as you start moving up, like in this game where the blinds are already 10-20, I think it actually makes sense to try to, you play those hands. Plus, when you're obviously, the more you move up, the more you realize that most hands you play are heads up anyway.
How are you at tournaments? If you're coming down to a final table, do you chop? Or do you just go for...
it depends. It really depends on the format of the tournament, in the sense that, anybody familiar with our show is Bart and I actually don't get to play too many tournaments because we're doing this show Monday through Friday from 7 to 10.
Right.
If the format of the tournament is such that there's a lot of play left, I have a lot of chips and there's a lot of play, well, then there's no reason to chop it up. Now, if the format of the tournament is such that the blinds are so high in relation to our stacks that it's such a luck fest and there's a lot of money at stake, well, in that case, I probably would chop. Yeah, who wants to just flip a coin for $100,000?
Right. I'm not opposed to chopping in a tournament. Generally, when it gets down to 3 or maybe 4. But I've approached some tournaments, and you get down to the last 9 players, and they're going, "Hey, who wants to chop?"
Right.
One guy's excessively short stacked, another guy's not far from him. You're going, "No way."
I mean, part of the fun thing about it is that Sean's got kings here.
Again.
Flop comes out queen, jack, 8. It's all spades. Now, Rafi's actually got an interesting hand here. He's got a pair with the 10 of spades. He's got a gut shot straight flush draw. He's going to take one off, see what happens here. And he's actually in better shape than you normally think. There's the king of spades. Now, Sean has made a set here, but Rafi has made the flush here. And in some ways, normally you wouldn't want to be in there with the 10 of spades. Rafi moves all in. Sean calls. Has Sean called? Rafi has moved all in. Normally, the 10 of spades not a hand you want to move all in with, but in this case, it's actually the second nut spade.
Yeah, and Sean will need to pair the board to take.
Yeah, he needs to pair the board. Obviously, Rafi with the straight flush possibilities. The ace of spades or the 9 of spades would give him a straight flush. Sean has 10 outs here. He's going to need a king, a queen, a jack, an 8, and there's actually 1 jack dead, so it's only got 9 outs. You can see he's about a 4-1 dog with 1 card to come. I got to tell you, a set of kings here, they might look pretty, but with 4 spades out there, what the hell can you beat?
Right.
You could even be drawing dead here if your opponent had 9-10 of spades, that is.
That's a tough hand to lay down when you've got 3 kings. Anybody hates laying down a set of big cards.
No, it is difficult. Sometimes you just got to know your beat, though.
Yeah.
Now, how much money has Rafi put in there? Rafi's only moving in there for about $1,000. The pot is about,
Consolation, there's nothing I checked.
shot at a pot there. The pot is about 800. So we're looking at about an $1,800 pot. I want to say about 900 to call. So you're getting about 2 to 1 on your money. If you put your, and Sean is going to call this, if you put your opponent on a flush, you do not have odds to call this, but he's going to call anyway. And the river's an 8, and wow. And Rafi, man, he gets sucked out again. Sean has got him again. 2 rivers in a row, and Rafi is dead.
Wow.
Now you wonder here, I got to tell you, now I mean I like Rafi. Rafi's playing the turn was fine, but you really got to question his call on the flop. Maybe he got himself in trouble with that hand. You know,
Well, like you say, he had a pair and he had the flush draw.
right, exactly. You got to realize, though, you got to wonder though, is my flush draw even good?
Yeah.
Who knows? Sean there sucks out again and knocks out Rafi. Rafi down a quick 3K.
Boy, that was fast, and he had big hands.
Yeah,
Yes,
he did.
a straight and a flush, and he's out on both of them.
Yeah, both times, he got his money in with the best of it, and both times gets sucked out on.
Drawn out on that damn river.
And that's just poker, what are you going to do, right?
That's right.
That's poker. Bart back in the game. So, how did you get into? Now, you're a poker player. You're a commentator. What came first, chicken or the egg?
A poker player.
Poker player first.
Absolutely. I was playing poker at Hustler, and I ran into Nick Gieber playing the tournaments there, and I actually beat him out of a hand once when he had a set, and I think No, he had the straight, and I had a set, and I just did what just happened. I got the full house on the river, and took him out of the tournament. He looked at me with a big grump, and wasn't long before that I started seeing him around. He's the guy I do the radio show with,
right?
And he's part of the Bluff team, and I'd see him around Hustler and different casinos around, and we were playing in another tournament at one point, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to Vegas next week." This was back in May, I think it was. And he said, I'm going to Vegas, and I'm going to go check out all the new card rooms, the Venetian, the Wynn, et cetera, Caesars, all these places. And I hadn't done that, so he invited me to go. I went, and we hooked up at the Venetian, played some poker. And he says, listen, I just hooked up this great deal where we're going to come out to Las Vegas for the World Series of Poker and broadcast it. My radio show is going to be here for the entire 6 weeks. And in about the same paragraph, he said, and I just fired my on-air co-host as well. And I said, is that job available? I'll take it. And he says, why don't you come into the radio show and, just be on as a poker player. We'll talk poker. And
we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. So I went on, and I thought I did pretty well. And he called me up the next day, and he says, hey, you want a job? And I said, sure. So I made it a point to being on the radio show. That's, every Tuesday and Wednesday on Sirius. Right. So I did that up until we left at the end of June to be at the series. And that was it. That was I'm off and running, and now I'm his co-host permanent.
Right. Oh, I love that. Great story there. Now we got a new player in seat 7. Oh, and there's Jeff there.
Bet 120.
And I believe Bart is coming back into the booth. Bart there. Bart will teach you how to flop quads. Now, once again, I wanted to just point out one of the reasons why calling with a set of kings there is not necessarily a good play if you put your opponent on a flush. The reason being is you are a 3-to-1. You need really 3-to-1 to hit your full house on the river. Remember, there's 40 cards there. 30 of them are pretty much bad. 10 are good.
Right.
Okay? You're only going to hit that, say, actually 1 out of 4 times. So you really want to be making at least 3-to-1 on your money. If you really want to be safe, even 4-to-1 on your money. Now, that's obviously only if you put your opponent on a flush. Now, maybe you think, could my opponent be bluffing? Could he even have a smaller set? And obviously, it goes up there, and then maybe Sean can call. But obviously, you've got to put it in there that way.
Yeah, that was just bad luck for Rafi there to.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, Rafi puts his money in with the best of it twice in a row and just does not get lucky. Well, gets unlucky, actually. Button is in seat number 3. And we got a raise here out of the small blind with ace-queen. That's Lynette. And I got to tell you, if Lynette is raising out of the blind, I'm going to put her on a big pocket pair. I got to tell you, this wouldn't even be in the realm of possibility. I wouldn't think she'd even have ace-queen. I'd put her on queens, kings, or aces. And
players.
And I am back.
There you go. Look at that King, King 3. I mean, I got to tell you, that flop probably looks good to you, huh?
Yeah.
Quad
Yeah,
kings there.
yes.
And Lynette is going to make a follow-through bet here.
160.
And that's probably going to be enough to get it done because George has got nothing. George has got Jack 10. He's going to throw it away.
Now, I'm going to need your help, Dave, because this is my first time on this mic, so tell me how I'm doing.
You're doing great, bud.
Okay. You know, it's funny, I was telling Lynette, I had a discussion with her. She's played here a bunch over the last couple of weeks, and I was just talking about how we always tend to bet our hands. And if I had something on that flop, the absolute only thing that I'm going to check is 4 kings there. You know I would bet ace-king. You know I would definitely bet queens full. She might have thought maybe I spiked ace-jack on the turn. I don't know. Do you get away from that with 10s full there on the turn?
You know, it's a tough spot, really, because that's the thing. I mean, I probably know you probably do bet queens full there. I probably know you probably do bet ace-king there. The thing is, you wonder if she knows that.
I think she does. That's the
Well,
point.
if she knows that, well, then it's pretty much you've got quad kings or you've got ace-jack. I mean, I suppose I even thought maybe you had pocket jacks. You know, maybe you're representing, maybe you didn't like the flop, you checked it. Now the 10 comes off and you go, you know what, nobody else bet it. Maybe my jacks are good, plus I'm open-ended. So you put a little bet out there to try to take it away with jacks. She's pulled up now, so she raises you. And if you have jacks obviously you're going to throw it away.
Speaking of jacks here, look at this. Seat number 6 has got jack 5 of hearts. He's got trips. The flop came jack 6 jack.
You like that segue, man? Jacks, right into it.
It was well done.
Yeah.
And Jeff is going to bet here. He bets 100.
And Paul's got nothing, though. I mean, this is an easy laydown. But he takes one off. I mean, I just don't understand that. It's not. I mean, it's not a tournament. What is ace-king here? Ace-king of clubs on that flop? Jack, jack, 6. I'm not sure if you know this or not, but if you're figuring it out really quick, we don't hold anything back on this show.
And
We tell it like it is.
Look at this. Jeff bet the jack. Paul called, and now Jeff has checked. He's picked up a flush draw. He's got trip jacks and a flush draw. And it's a $220 bet here. And how do you play it? Do you think that Jeff thinks Paul has an overpair? Do you want to scare the guy away?
Well, at the same time, though, I mean, if Paul had a jack, you know you're dead here because your kicker's not going to play. You know, I got to tell you, jack 5 here, I'm playing it pretty cautiously.
Even heads up, you think?
Well, you got to realize, let me ask you this.
Well, he's going to bet the river here.
And he's not going to get called. You got to realize that if you get played back at, your opponent probably has a jack. And he definitely has your kicker beat. I just tell you, I mean, I hate going broke with trips with a low kicker.
Absolutely.
You know,
It really is deflating in your game. You know, I'd much rather have the set than trips.
Oh, of course.
You know, I'm always leery of that, and it's just you know, and anytime there's a paired board, you know, if somebody's got the pair of 4s and then you know you've got jack 4 or something, and you've got a, you know, you think you've got 3 jacks, but somebody else has already got you beat with a full house.
Well, the funny thing is, it's for some reason some players, I mean, inexperienced players, they think they're being sneaky, as if like nobody else sees it out there. Like the flop is jack 5, right?
Right.
Wait a second, I have a jack. Maybe if I slow play it, nobody will put me on it.
Right.
I mean, everybody sees it out there. You know what I mean? It's not like it's a hidden hand.
That's right.
Now, if the flop comes out ace jack 5, and I have a set of 5s, well, that's a little more hidden.
Absolutely, and that's a great time to get that.
Exactly.
You know, you think because everybody's trying to play the high cards, the pink cards or aces and all that sort of stuff. So if you've got a set of 5s and there's paint or aces up there, you're probably going to make some money. It's one of the things in my game that I try to work on is getting away when I feel like somebody's trying to get my foot in the trap if they've got a set, and trying to stay out of those.
And here we go. We got Bart's plan for tonight: flop quads, slow motion hit and run, profit, and Asian hooker.
Bart moves over here to.
Bart has a thing for Asian girls.
Now, Bart, you were having a pretty successful run out there at the table. What happened? You gave up on it?
No, I mean I could have stayed in the game. You know, Filipino Tony is in the game, and now George is in the game, so it's a pretty good game. But before that, I didn't really think at first that the lineup was all that good right off the bat.
A little bit passive to start off with. I got to tell you, I was impressed with some of your play. I mean, I like the way you attacked Allen's blinds right away with deuce 5.
Good flop there for deuce 5.
I know. Well, it doesn't make a
3-4.
difference. As long as Allen misses, who cares what you have?
Wow, look at this. Jeff has got overcards and the nut diamond draw here.
Yeah, but George is open-ended here, and I don't think George is going to go anywhere.
And Jeff is going to bet $90 here. He did raise it pre-flop here on the button.
And you can see that George is in bad shape here. He has a 3-1 dog against Jeff here because of the diamonds.
Now, if he catches a straight card that's a diamond, what's going to happen? The turn's a 5. Is Jeff going to take a card here in position? No.
Jeff's going to continue firing. Jeff's a real aggressive player. I like Jeff's play. You wonder if maybe he has to change gears once in a while. But, you know, if I've got to choose between a passive player and an aggressive player, I'm always going to go with the aggressive one. And Jeff's really shown a lot of aggression in position.
And George check calls again. And look at this. Jeff makes the nuts here on the river.
Yeah, and George, I'm assuming, is going to check here. Sure enough, Jeff moves all in pretty much. Bets $1,000.
He's going to bet 18. That's going to pretty much put George all in here.
Yeah, well, actually, George has got about 2,800.
Oh, he's got 5,000 chip behind there,
Oh, there
too.
you go. Okay.
Yeah.
But even though it doesn't make a difference, George has got nothing. He's got ace high. He's not going to call.
You know, it's funny. We always talk about this turn bet in position. We talked about it extensively with Barry Greenstein yesterday. If you've got diamonds and overs there, now, obviously you'd rather semi-bluff a pot out, but if a guy has smaller diamonds, do you really want to drive him out of the pot?
Well, you and I always talk about that. I didn't get to bring it up last night with Barry, and I wish I had. But you and I always talk about it. No, I don't want to drive him out. But remember, if the guy has smaller diamonds, he is going to pay for that draw. Let him pay for it. Why not, right? I mean, he's drawing dead to pretty much a pair that is not a pair. Basically, he's got, 6 outs? I don't mind him paying a price for that. And if he hits a diamond, well, now the pot's even bigger, so I can bet more on the river.
Wow, look at this. Jeff, he had raised it a bunch of times. He does not raise here. Dave, we always talk about it. He's got pocket aces. I love it. I want to make it look like I'm being a lag. He chooses to limp in here in the cutoff with aces. And the flop comes queen 4-8 with a couple of clubs.
Yeah, nothing wrong with doing that if you can get away from it. Now Jeff's got the aces. George has got a queen. He's got queen 7 here, offsuit. Wow, trip king queens there. And I got to tell you, if you look at that flop there, Jeff can't beat much. He can only beat a flush draw here.
$300 bet and a call by George. He did not raise, and the river is a jack. And, you know,
you can't raise. You can't raise with queen 7, can you?
And look at this. George checks again, and I think Jeff thinks he's making a value bet here. And George is just going to check call the whole way.
Well, I got to tell you, with a hand like queen 7, remember that flop is queen 8-4. Your opponent either has busted clubs, and in which case you will not call your re-raise, or he's got a queen. He's betting top pair, and in that case, your kicker is kicked because he's got a 7 kicker.
I got to tell you, one of the ways that I might play that hand, well, we missed the board there, and I've done it a couple of times. Now, obviously, the queen, you don't have a good kicker. He was playing it conservatively. But let's say that you weren't necessarily concerned about your kicker, and you played it as a check call on the turn, and then you made it look like a bluff on the river, like you missed clubs, like a bet that made absolutely no sense. You might get a call from ace-king high on the river there.
100.
Button moves over here to seat 8. And Jerry's got pocket jacks here. And it looks like he has made it... Oh, it looks like he just limped, and Jeff raised it with ace-jack, and Jerry has called. King 5-4 here. Well, Jeff has the betting lead right now with the ace-jack. And Jeff is going to continue to bet here. He bets 140. And Dave, I want to ask you after this hand about that other hand with aces. Turns a 9. It goes check, check. And the river is a deuce. So Jerry check called the flop with jacks, and now he's going to bet the river here. I don't necessarily know if betting the river here, unless he's going to make it look like he has busted diamonds. I mean, it's one way to play it, but might you just try to check and maybe induce a bluff here at the end? Because are you going to get called by a hand that you don't beat there?
Yeah, you really wonder that. Now, we're going to say goodbye to Scott Preston here from Bluff Radio. Now, how does somebody watch your show? How does somebody check it out?
We're on the radio on channel 122 on Sirius on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Talking poker.
Pardon me?
Talking poker.
Talking poker. Taking phone calls, interviewing poker celebrities, all that sort of stuff. It's a great show.
And it's 5 to 7.
5 to 7. Yeah.
That's actually perfect. So 5 to 7 with you,
yeah,
and
right.
7 to 10 with us.
There you go.
It's great. Okay.
You just got to pick up Sirius.
Super. Well, thanks a lot, Scott. You've been great.
All right, man. Thanks.
I really appreciate it.
Good.
And Check him out on Bluff Radio. Very good guy.
I'll be checking
lot of
you
fun.
guys out. This is a lot of fun, and I've never seen this format before. So, of course, I've heard about it, but now I got to stay tuned. It's one more thing to drive my wife crazy. All right, now I got to watch poker on the internet.
Right, exactly. Cool. Well,
All right.
good to have you in there, man.
All right, thanks, David.
Take it easy, buddy.
Bye.
Okay. And we are back.
Yeah.
We are back. Dave, somebody here on the thread said Bart's got to get rid of those sunglasses. They look horrible on him. What are your opinions on that?
I don't know. I don't. Like I said, why do you always ask me like how you look, man? I don't know. I don't care. I'm sorry. You look fine.
Man.
Okay. If I was a girl, I'd do you. Okay. Is that what you want to hear?
That's enough for me.
Okay. If I was an Asian girl, I'd definitely do you.
Oh, man, even better. Now, George likes to play a lot of mixed games in seat number 1. He was playing the 1020 earlier today when I came in, Dave, the No Limit.
Yeah. Did you have a question for me? Because I got to pee.
Go ahead.
Okay.
And look at this. We've got Majid in the game. He sometimes goes by Jack. Looks like this one gets checked on the flop, checked on the turn, and the river is a 6. And Lynette is going to win it here with ace high. As always, you can email us at live@thebike.com. Questions, comments, suggestions, always appreciated.
This time I think he's losing them all.
Looks like we had an email, and I'm not sure if Dave read these emails, but Jason Hargraves said last night's show was effing amazing. Jive Dadson, who's often critical of the show, says last night's show was the best ever. So thank you very, very much for all those comments. Button moves over here to seat 3. You know, it's interesting. You wonder, like I said, is there any way that Lynette can get away from that hand? It's real tough knowing the way that I play. Because I got to tell you, if I was playing against Dave and he checked that flop and he raced the turn, I would think that he had ace-jack. Maybe he had king-queen. It's just real tough. And seat number 5 here, that's Sean. He's flop trip queens. He's got queen-jack, queen-8, queen with a couple of diamonds. George is going to lead with a flush draw. And seat 5 with queen-jack, he checked it from up front. And he's just going to check call. He's going to play it slow. Again, seat 5 has queen-jack here. The turn is a 10. George now has a straight draw, and it goes check-check. He takes the card, and the river's a 5. Wow, Sean really slow-played that hand. And now he's going to come out and bet. George took the card, picked up an additional draw there on the turn. Could have hit a 7 for the win. And Sean bets the river and does not get paid off there. You know, it's interesting, and I'll ask Dave, I'm going to throw that out for you. I caught the tail end, because I was doing something on the table, of the hand between seat number 8 and seat 5. And I'm wondering if seat 5 had something like pocket 9s that hand, when seat 8 moved all in on the river. And did seat 8 have something like a monster? Did he have 8s full? Guys in the booth? They said they can't remember. Well, it's, I will ask Dave about that hand. Well, it's funny, Ronnie's telling me in my ear I set that play up with Lynette by checking that. You know, I'm always a fan of fast playing my hands, except in certain situations. In that situation, I do not think that I lost any value by checking that flop. And Jeff has got aces again. And this was what I was going to ask Dave when he comes back in here. He's got aces again. I've got to tell you, he had played at laggy that 20-minute span. Why not raise with aces in the cutoff there? Make like you are really playing out of line and have somebody try to steal from you.
I got to agree with you. I mean, we've seen Mike do it. You know, it's kind of the evolution of like a guy like Mike, where if you're going to play aggressive 90% of the time, well, then play aggressive with your good hands and your crappy hands, not just your crappy hands.
And Jeff has raised here with ace-king, and, excuse me, Jerry has raised with ace-king, and it looked like Jeff made a kind of a mini-ish re-raise. Is that right?
Yeah,
Jeff, he did re-raise it out of the blind.
Well, flop misses Jerry, so Jeff should be able to take this one away. Jerry should be able to, you know, pretty much get out of the hand unscathed. You know, you wonder, I mean, one of the things that Barry said that was so interesting was he said that he doesn't really change stuff. What he likes to do is instead of changing the way he plays the same hands, what he does is he plays all his hands the same way.
And look at this. Jerry called with ace-king on the flop.
Take one off. Why not? Hey.
Well, he might be
Let me see if I
floated
can
to try
get
to represent
Let me see if I
something.
can get in trouble.
But Jeff is going to continue to bet. You know, he checked his trip jacks before and then led the river, but he's going to continue to bet here with aces. Maybe he hopes that Jerry has something like ace-queen.
Oh, I think it's a no-brainer. I think you have to bet that with aces. But that was one of the things that Barry pointed out last night. It was just so smart. I mean, he's such an insightful guy. If you missed last night's show, you really got to check it out. Check it out on the archives after tonight's show. Phenomenal insight from that man. Really thank him for that. But it was really interesting the way he would say that. It was, you know, the fact that he would play all of his hands the same way. He would bet in the same way. That way you never knew what he had. And everybody was rooting for the case 10, by the way.
Yep.
So the jackpot would hit.
How about his fast play, your strong hands, no one will put you on a king. Like I said, that's pretty much a time where I think you need to almost check
Well, it's
there.
funny, you know, I mean, Allen actually threw away a queen.
Right.
You wonder if you would bet the flop. Now, obviously, you don't know. I'm going to just point one thing out to you. If a 10 doesn't come out on the turn, I really wonder how it gets played out. You probably bet the turn, and I wonder if Allen gets involved with his queen or not.
Wow, look at this. George has got kings here. He raised it to 110, and we got a bunch of callers here. Jeff, Jerry, five-way action here. It's about a $550 pot. Well, ace, deuce, five. That is definitely not what you want to see with kings. Now, Jerry is out-kicked here in seat 3. Is he going to get involved with
Although
ace
I got to
six?
tell you, I never mind. If I have kings, I don't mind if the ace falls. Because I'm not going to lose any more money with it.
Well, how about... But would you bet into 4 people here when the ace falls?
You know what? I might not bet into 4 people, but in this case, 2 people have already checked, so I might bet there. Kind of see where I'm at. You know, once I get called in one spot, I'm done with it.
Tony's got ace-queen here. Let's see what he's going to do. He is going to raise it up right away. He's going to make it 900.
And that's the problem with Tony's game here. He was always committing with a hand like ace-queen. You know, I mean, he'd probably commit all his chips with ace-9 or ace-jack even.
He actually made it 500.
Look at that. They're just ripping you, man.
Not sure how she calls here. Bart is so weak tight, he only plays the nuts. Yeah, I'm real weak tight, right?
You know, I actually pointed out, I said, when this show, I was talking to Scott about it because Scott had asked me. He said, wow, this show, it must have helped. You must help your game so much. And I go, you know, in many ways it really has. It's been unbelievable. I go, and I actually was pointing out to you, I said that, you know, when I first started playing No Limit with you, I actually thought you were a little bit weak passive, you know? In No Limit Hold'em, that was. I thought you were a very good limit player, but I thought your No Limit game needed a lot of work. But I'd say in the last year,
When was that?
I'd say probably, 15, 16 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Before the show even started.
I thought you were saying like last week or something.
Well, last week, too. No, but, the funny thing is that this week, over the last, say, year, I would say that your No Limit game, and mine as well, has probably improved 500%. Where, I'd say 15 months ago, 16 months ago, I wouldn't mind mixing it up with you in a pot.
Yeah.
Right now, I look to avoid you. I have no desire to play a pot with you at all.
I told you I actually you raised, we were playing the same game, we were playing this game this afternoon, and you raised, I had bought the button. You raised and I laid down ace-king offsuit.
Out of the small blind,
In
yeah.
the big blind. Well,
Yeah,
out
big blind.
of my thing. And I don't know if you would have laid that down to me, my raise, but just one of those hands that's just...
I've been laying down a lot of big hands to you now when it's heads up. There's just
Yeah.
no point in me. You've got to realize that in No Limit Hold'em, I'm often looking to play pots against weak players. I'm looking to play pots against players that are going to make mistakes. I'm not looking to play against players that are winning players.
10-8 deuce here, rainbow. We had a pre-flop raise. I want to say it was by seat 3, Jerry, and Jeff called with ace-jack, and he's going to use his button. It gets checked over to him. He's going to bet.
Well, that's the thing with Jeff. Jeff will not only will he call raises on his button, he will raise on his button, and he will use the button. He loves to play his button. And I got to tell you, if I'm in the small blind, if I'm in an out of position, I will often check a big hand to him, knowing he will bet it on the button. He will use that button, and I can check raise him, or I can check call and then lead out on the turn, because I know I can get more money out of him. Oh, this is classic. I love this.
Button moves over here to seat 7.
This is classic. Jive Dadson ripping my grammar again.
It's funny. Wilcox says, who was this guy? Or he responding saying he's a photographer who was thrown in front of the mic during the World Series of Poker. Was he on Bluff Poker Radio during the World Series?
He was the guy. He got hired to do it. He actually interviewed me. He's the one that called me Brian Tushman. He said, hey, we got the media event winner, Brian Tushman.
And they wanted to reserve those commentary roles for pros, for pro poker players.
Right.
Somebody's going all in.
He actually made an interesting, really thing. I was talking about chopping pots, chopping blinds.
Yeah.
And he said to me, and I don't want to rip him because he's a really nice guy, but at the same time he goes, oh, I chop all the time. I always chop except if I have aces because then it's a good chance to get a jackpot.
Now, we had a raise here, and look at this. George's flop top and bottom. Now, the pre-flop raiser, I want to say, was seat 5. Sean raised it with 8, and the pot's $500. Now, George has checked Queen 9 there on that flop, and he's going to get a free card. And look at this. The turn's a 10, and George's hand is garbage now. He doesn't know where he's at. He checks it again.
Yeah, absolute garbage his hand is. I mean, he actually does not have the nuts here. I mean, Sean's got the best hand here with 8s. How hard can he play it with 8s, though? He's going to put a little money there and see where he's at.
He bets 100. Some of the things that Barry Greenstein said, we were talking about it off the air, Dave. It's,
and we'll continue to talk about it. I mean, fascinating stuff.
It's almost... Yeah, Sean has bet here with 8s, and George's call. We'll get to it in a second here. And George is looking to fill up here. And would you value bet 8s here on the river if it gets checked to you? Oh, the river's an 8, and they're going to chop this one up.
Yeah, unbelievable. Sean makes his set on the river.
But George has checked it, and wouldn't you bet again here? And he does.
I think so. Why not? You might actually overbet it knowing that this guy does not have a king,
and
the board is going to play.
And George gets off of it.
Yeah, there you go.
Right there, because he bet the turn. Some of the things that Barry said, we were talking about it off the air, it definitely, it didn't necessarily go against what we talk about, but some of the things were definitely different. He talked about how he loves to play the nut flush really, really hard. He also talked about flopping 2 pair. He likes to get all the money in on the flop. And I wonder, and I want to pose this question to everybody out there, is it because Barry tends to play short in these games?
Right.
Is that what he's talking about?
Well, it also might be a fact that we're going to
take a look at the chip count.
Get a chip count here. 8,800 for George. We got over 33,000 on the table, and this will keep adding up the entire night. Let's see how they're doing. Sean up 2,300, George up 800, Paul and Lynette down 16 and 15. And you actually what did you win? 2,000?
The 3,200.
You won 3,200. Mm-hmm. It's nice.
I started with 3,000. I cashed out for 62.
That's a nice little 30 minutes of poker.
Yeah,
not bad. I think part of it also is Barry's image. He likes to be aggressive. He likes to keep his opponents on his heels, which is what he said. And I think by always pushing, it puts people in a tough spot to make calls.
Yeah.
Because you never know, is he pushing with the nuts? Is he pushing with a flush draw? Is he pushing with 2 pair? Or is he just pushing with top pair? Who knows? The one thing that's always interesting, obviously, is, you and I was sitting here listening to Barry, and I know you were as well, pretty much taking notes. Because obviously when you listen to a guy like that that's so insightful and who's been around for such a long time, you realize how little you know. And at the same time, how much you still have to learn.
Eastern Bloc question here on 2+2 says, since you normally play at half these stakes, were you uncomfortable with the amount of money you had on the table? And the last time I played this game, which was a few months ago, I probably was uncomfortable. You know me now. I play in this game. Usually now when it's available, I am comfortable in this game.
Right.
Because I play deep in the 5-10 game. I can have 5,000 or 6,000 in front of me. I'm comfortable
Yeah,
there.
you have no problem with 6,000 at this table now.
That is not the reason why I got up. It was just because...
Funny thing is, you and I were playing in a 10-20 game this afternoon. That was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I had about 8,000 at the table at one point. I know you had about 5. And everybody else had at least 5. Some people had as much as 10 or 12,000. We had $80,000 in a 10-20 game this afternoon?
Tony is going to raise it up here with ace-queen out of the blind. He's going to make it 200 here. It's a very difficult hand to play out of position. And Jerry's going to call with 7-3 of clubs. The only problem here is Tony that deep? I mean, he does have position, but boy, Tony's got to be pretty deep to make that call, don't?
Yeah. Well, I guess. I mean, I got to tell you, I don't care how deep he is. I'm probably not making that call.
King 8-4. It's a terrible flop for ace-queen.
7-3 of clubs. I mean, I like my hands to be a little bit more connected than 7-3.
And it goes check, check. Tony did not bet, and he checked check, check again. And the river is a king, and it looks like, is Jerry just going to give up with this?
And Tony knows he's got the best hand here. And I got to tell you, if you're going to play 7-3 like that, what's really the point of playing it? And he shows it.
Yeah, because if you're not going to be able to, it's one thing to hit your hand, but you got to be able to use the position, maybe take it down when you have nothing, right?
Yeah, you wonder why call that kind of hand. Who knows? Well,
Another thing that Jive Dadson said, people were saying, "Oh, I ruined my chances with Lynette Chan, even though she's in a long-term relationship with Ty that's been on the show." I don't know why everyone keeps ripping me about that. And Jive Dadson says, "If you guys think that
I don't see a ring, man.
me beating her ruins my chances, you don't understand women." And I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Most women enjoy a good beating.
Button moves here to seat 1. Jack really, really plays it tight over there and looks like this one's going to get chopped up.
How many people do you think I offended with that statement?
So we're already done with the first hour or so of the show.
Yep.
And thank you all for being archived subscribers. Now, we did not do a video blog today because we had the media event and we were kind of schmoozing and getting some photos done in the cocktail party. Not sure if we're planning to do it tomorrow. And what are our plans? We might do a show on Saturday as well and not take a day off next week. So we might actually be doing 6 shows this week and another 5 next week. Saturday starting at noon, we're getting word.
At
and
noon?
I think that time is going to be a little bit, isn't that a little early? I don't.
Not a lot early?
What's the story?
The tournament's starting at 2?
Yeah, the main event starts at 2 o'clock on Saturday.
Okay.
So maybe we'll get some big names in here for some interviews before the main event begins.
Okay.
And
So
You
we're
know,
going to have
if all
a
goes
game,
well,
but we're going to
right.
be having a lot of
and
people
obviously,
come in.
an extra hour last night, an extra day this week. Obviously, all this is for our viewers and for because Legends is going on. And when the action slows down a little bit, maybe we'll take a day off then. Hint.
Three-way action here. Jack 6 deuce with a couple of clubs. George has got King Jack over there. And I want to say that the ladies' event is a week from today here at the WPT.
It is. You're right.
And I'm going to be doing the floor again.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
Sweet.
I assume that Boston will be in here with you on Thursday.
Who will?
Boston.
Really? Okay.
Boston, my replacement.
Your replacement now. I see.
Butt moves over here to seat 3.
I'd love to get in here again also is I'd love to get Linda Johnson in here again.
Yeah.
Remember last year, actually, during the ladies' event, we had her.
Right.
Love to get her in here for like another 15 or 20 minutes. I don't know why. I just love her. I do. I love her to death.
Live straddle here by seat 6.
Yeah, it's Jeff.
I'm so stoked, man. We finally got ourselves our parking passes so we can park in the front of the building.
Yeah, you surprised me with that, man. You showed me the part. You go, here it is. I go, what's this? I didn't know what it was. I was like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, welcome. Isaac's saying welcome to the club. He's had it for like a year and a half.
Well, they have to give Isaac some perk. They don't pay him anything. They have to at least give him free parking.
Now, we had a raise here by seat number 3. Jerry, and look how easily Lynette had King Jack of Diamonds, and she mucks it without a second thought, Dave, in the small blind. And George is in there with Ace-7, so we got about a $220 pot here. 10 deuce 5. Lynette would have flopped overs and diamonds.
And apparently, I like this post here by Jaff911. I always count on Jaff911. Some good post. He goes, hey, Tuck, if Kev Math is the most dedicated, non-pay Live at the Bike devotee, shouldn't he get some props like a free subscription for all his hard work? We actually send him women. We do.
I think he actually does have a free subscription.
Shh. What the hell are you saying, man? Don't let it out.
That's what I get. I need a gamble while we get. No. You don't want to.
And again, for all of you Boston lovers, I think when we were talking about doing the heads-up thing against the circuit guys, I'm sure Boston will be a part of that, helping us out as well.
Yeah, once again, I will point this out. The circuit will be here all week long. Starting this Saturday, you can call the Dunk line at 877-675-1306. Once again, that is the Dunk line, 877-675-1306. Call in with your questions for Gavin Smith, Joe Seabach, and Scott Huff, and whoever guests they have on. And more importantly, on Tuesday, August 29th, bring it on. Gavin Smith, Joe Seabach, The Circuit versus David Tuckman, Bart Hansen, representing Live at the Bike. I got to tell you, I lay us at what? 2-1 favorites?
You know, it's going to be an interesting format here as George races with 7-8. Are we going to do kind of like a little round robin, like I play Gavin, I play Joe, you play Gavin, you play Joe? And then,
I think so.
Yeah. Cool.
I have to assume that's how we're doing.
And that's going to be set for Tuesday right now?
You better not let me down, man.
Hey, I'm more worried about you, man.
A lot of pressure on you. Lot of pressure on you. Man. But if I can beat them both and you lose to them both, oh.
Button here moves to seat 5.
Now, Scott Huff, obviously, one of my favorite guys, really a great guy. But notice how he's not going to play. I guess if Scott played, we can always bring Isaac into Isaac with his queen deuce and his elbow.
Hey, did you mention Ronnie McMillan's charity win today?
I did. He kicked some butt in the media event and won himself $500. And you and I think we combined for a grand total of about an hour and 20 minutes. You played for about an hour and 7 minutes of the hour and 10. I played for 3 minutes.
Jeff has raised it with ace-10 here, and Jerry has called with ace-4 of clubs.
I got to tell you, well, the way the format was, first place gets money and nobody else gets any money.
Yeah.
I was very much like, okay, give me chips now or I'm going out.
Wow, look at this. It goes check, check, and Jerry made a wheel. And now Jeff is going to come out and bet. He bets 120. Well, if Jeff was watching, and I got a raise here by Jerry, if Jeff was watching that last hand between Jerry and Tony, he might know that Jerry might just check it down and he could win with ace-10.
Yeah, you might. Although I got to tell you, though, I don't like the way Tony plays that hand because if you think your opponent has nothing, why give him a free draw? You know what I mean? In this case, if you catch a 7, you catch a 3 or something like that, you can get killed.
And Jeff releases the ace-10. I mean, last night was just it was amazing. Barry Greenstein. The last time we had him in there, and some people did criticize us a little bit, but I think that you and I kind of did a pretty good job of trying to continue to follow the game and getting him to really do color on the game. And I think that's what we got, as opposed to just a straight interview off of the game.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's funny, as you and I obviously get better at doing commentary and interviewing people. It's something you've got to realize, something I'm learning and working on is kind of the art of interviewing in the sense of, you're shaping the conversation and where you want it to go. So as Barry starts to go off on a tangent, if you want him to concentrate on the game, you kind of do that way.
Right.
And I actually thought it went really well. Looking forward to watching it tonight.
Now, Lynette has just limped in here with King Jack of Diamonds. And we're going to see 6-way action here. We need to see Jeff's cards over there. We do see him. He's got 6-4. 5-4.
Not a bad flop for 6-4.
Now look at this. So Aaron has flopped bottom set. He's going to bet
right
right
into
into
Paul's
it.
got the nuts.
Oh, look at this. Paul in seat 7. From up front, he checked it. Aaron bet. We got a call here by Jerry, who's got the good end of the open-ended straight draw. 7 would make him the nuts. And Jeff has got top pair, and he's open-ended.
Yeah, we're going to see
And he's
some
going to
fire.
raise. Bet by a set, call by a straight draw, and a raise by Jeff here to 300. And Paul, who's not that deep, he's got the nuts.
Well, and let's see how deep he is. He's got about $1,000, I want to say, total, maybe $800.
Yep.
I got to tell you, I'm probably going to move all in here.
Wow, and he just calls. He just calls. I got to tell you, I don't know if I push here if I'm Aaron. These are the types of boards, especially if it was a 2 flush, where I have laid down bottom set too. When I see the action, bet, call, raise, re-raise, or call. It's very
you got to
suspect.
realize that if somebody else even has 2 pair, like 5-4,
Yeah.
and somebody has 6-7, you're pretty much drawing dead. I mean, you
Yeah.
need a 3 and only a 3
And look
here.
because I got to tell you, obviously we can see the cards. When Jeff made that raise, Paul just threw his money in.
Yeah.
And I think if you're Aaron, you got to be a little bit wary, but it's so difficult. He's going to re-raise, and you know what? I might have done the same thing. I mean, I think one of the great things that Barry brought up yesterday, sometimes seeing the cards does jade us a little bit.
No,
It's
of
much
course it
different.
does. I mean, I got to
Yeah.
tell you, obviously nothing wrong with the way Paul played the hand either, but obviously by smooth calling with 6-7.
Yeah.
It is a
Wow,
rainbow
and look
board.
at this. Jeff, he is going to call. He raised it up to 1,000. We got a call by Paul, and now a re-raise by Aaron.
And Paul's obviously gonna
Paul
put
is
his
in
money
for
in.
less. And this pot is quickly.
What, 4,000?
No, I don't think it's quite that much. Maybe 3,500.
3,500, okay. Side pot of maybe 800.
Yep. And here we go to the turn. The turn's a 5, and Aaron's got it now. He is filled up.
Yep, and the other players are drawing dead.
Well, Jeff could actually hit a 4 here, Dave. Jeff could hit
Oh,
a 4,
thank you,
and he
thank
would
you.
win
You're
the-
right.
He would have the win.
He can actually catch a 5 also.
5 or a 4.
5 or a 4.
And
That's
Aaron has
10%.
moved all in here. He has moved all in, and I can't imagine that Jeff is going to call it.
No, I mean, it's a pretty easy laydown, I got to tell you. What
Yeah.
the hell can you beat with 6-4 there? At this point, you don't even know if your straight's good. And you got to assume that it might not be good.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple things, and I think this is a very, very interesting hand. A couple things that you might do there if you're Aaron. Again, I don't necessarily know if I would re-raise. I might try to fill up on the turn. You might also look at the turn. If it's a straight card, then you just get rid of it.
Yeah, you
know
might.
what I'm talking about?
Exactly. You might call the $300,
Yeah.
see the turn, and then try to get more money out of them. You never know. Obviously, it's easier for us as
Yeah.
we see the cards.
And he is all in, it looks like, for close to maybe 4,000.
Yeah, it's an easy laydown for Jeff. Remember, I mean, Paul is all in for 1,000. What do you think
Right.
Paul's got behind you?
Well, Jeff is saying I'd really be annoyed if you show me a bluff, but remember, this hand's going to get shown down. Does Jeff realize that Paul's all in
That
here?
just doesn't make any sense. I mean, Jeff, a real solid player.
There's no side pot, Dave. He would be bluffing a dry side
Well, no,
pot.
there's about $800 side pot.
Oh, okay.
But that's not. I mean, Paul is in there. You know, I mean, at this point, Paul could have filled up. Paul could easily have top 2 pair and now
Yeah.
be filled up as well.
River's a queen, and Aaron's going to win it there with 3s full. Nice hand there for Aaron. Oh, I wanted to ask you when you were when you were away, and none of the people in the booth could tell me that hand. I wasn't really paying attention to the hand. I only saw the turn in the river because I was doing something at the table. When Aaron moved in and seat 5 took so long and then finally laid it down.
Yeah.
What were the hands?
I can't tell you. You have to watch the archives. It's $14.95 a month.
Thanks.
It's on the top left-hand corner. You just got to click on it.
I mean, the thing about Aaron, I mean, did he have such a monster where he might have even had 8s full there? But I mean, it just seemed like such a big bet there on the river.
He had an 8.
He just had an 8 and he moved in on the river?
No. Oh, Aaron had a deuce.
Oh, okay, he had a deuce.
He had a deuce.
Okay.
He had a deuce. He had ace deuce. And-
I was
and-
wondering if seat 5 had something like pocket 9s, but he just had an 8.
Jack
Yeah.
8.
Oh,
Not even a
okay.
real 8.
Okay.
He had
Because he
Jack.
took a long time with it, Dave.
He
I
had
was like,
Jack 8. I couldn't.
Yeah.
We were sitting there. I'm like, come on. What are you waiting until? Let's go.
4 o'clock in the morning. It was a nice spot.
It's funny. We're much kinder when Barry's in the booth. Obviously, Barry being very politically correct, not trying to, doesn't want to rip on anybody. You and I have no problem with that, though.
Well, although I got to tell you, Ronnie, our carb guy, told me something interesting after last night's show that Barry definitely, sometimes we really put forth an opinion and it comes off as, oh, this is definitely the right or wrong way to do it, when poker is much more subjective sometimes.
Oh,
He kind of
of
is
course.
like, well, I'm not going to say that that's a bad play because there's all different other factors and variables going on.
And you know what? Barry's 100% right, and so is Ronnie. It's one of the things I love about poker. We always point it out. Literally, if you ask 10 great poker players how to play a hand, you'll get 10 different answers. And obviously, whenever we're putting our opinion out there, it's just our 2 cents.
Now, Jerry here he just limped with ace-king.
Well, nice flop for ace-king there with the king of hearts. He has top pair with the nut flush draw. Now, obviously, there is a straight flush possibility out there, but Jack's got nothing.
Yeah. That's funny. A lot of people might, this is a type of flop where it really isn't that dangerous to check it. I mean, you almost have flopped an unbeatable hand. I mean, obviously, the guy could spike 2 pair on you.
Yeah.
When you raise with ace-king and you get the 3 flush and you have an ace there.
Right. Although, I got to tell you, at the same time, though, do you want to slow play it? Don't you want somebody with ace-queen to commit themselves?
Right. Well, in that case, it was limped around. Or do you want, like, a smaller heart to call you, like a queen of hearts, something
Right,
like that?
exactly. I mean, build up that pot.
I gotta get my entry fee back. I mean, really, I just don't everybody says.
Well, actually, yeah, that's interesting. Kevin Math was pointing out, maybe we can do commentary on each other as well. I didn't think that. I was thinking there was only going
That
to
would
be
be
one
very
guy.
cool if we can have mics in there. Oh, right, actually, that
We
would
can
be
have,
great.
like if you're playing Joe, Gavin and me in here, and vice versa.
There you go. That's
Yeah,
much better.
yeah.
Everybody's there. I gotta play. How much time playing?
Live straddle here by Tony.
Yeah, it makes it $40 to go.
You got something you limp?
And
No callers.
Wait, it's a live straddle with a raise, though.
Was it just a mini raise there by Jerry?
I believe so. It must have been a raise up to $80, but we're going to see this, 6 ways?
Yeah.
$480 pot.
10-10-7 here.
Now, Aaron is open-ended, but with 2 diamonds out there, do you want to get involved? Well, wow, he makes it there on the turn. Aaron has got the straight here, 8-9.
Yep.
Tony with ace-jack, and I got to tell you, Tony, he's one of those players where he will lose money with ace-jack here.
Yeah, Aaron is going to bet.
And I wouldn't be surprised here. Look, and there it is. Sure enough, Tony will call
And you
this.
know he just has a jack. You know it because he probably would have done something on the turn with the 10. And it looks like Aaron's played it pretty solidly so far tonight.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, if you're Aaron here, you're pretty sure the guy does not have a 10. You might as well bet the river for value as long as a jack or a 7 doesn't fall
Great
off.
card here for Aaron would be an ace because I think
Oh,
Tony
fabulous.
would overcommit. Here we go to the river. Well, it's an 8, and now there isn't really much that Tony can beat, obviously.
No, wow.
Wow, Aaron didn't bet it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I got to tell you, I don't
And
think
that's
that
just-
Tony checks there.
And that's just Aaron, obviously, Aaron not knowing the player he's playing
Right.
against. You know, if you want to beat a player like Filipino Tony, Tournament Tony here, you've really got to be betting for value because he will pay you off. And I got to tell you, I don't know if he goes away if you bet, say, $400 or $500 on the river. I think he probably pays you off, even though he can't beat anything.
Button's going to move over here to, looks like to seat number 9.
So we got a couple of really cool things going on, by the way. Tomorrow, if you've been playing in the Legends tournament at all, tomorrow at 4:15 p.m., we have our best all-around point playoff, where a 2006 Cadillac has been added. We just threw it in. Not bad. And also tomorrow, if you want to play in the No Limit Championship, the World Poker Tour Championship, tomorrow is Mega Super Satellite Day. So basically, it's $1,000. And you have a chance to win your $10,000 seat into the main event. It's actually a really good buy, by the way. It's $1,000 plus 20. They're only taking $20 vig. 2%, not bad at all.
Yeah, that is a good deal.
Really good deal. And you can win your $10,000 seat into the No Limit Hold'em Championship with a $1.5 million guaranteed first place prize.
It's interesting because the $300 tournaments are $300 plus 40.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to point out. I mean, it's really a great vig.
Uh,
When you think about it, I mean, you try finding a 2% vig anywhere.
Are you going to try to get in through some? Are you going to play in any of those?
I believe I'm going to play the 1 p.m. Mega Super Satellite tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Especially after winning.
I might try to
Actually,
do that
both
too.
of us won about 4K today, right?
Yeah.
Figure I might give it a shot.
878 here. I think that I might do the same thing.
Although it's funny that we've got so many we've got so many of our broadcasts going on. I don't really want to miss any of these
Right.
shows. These shows are so good.
Well, I don't think you would miss that show, though. I think that would be over in 6 hours, don't you?
No, I mean if I get my seat.
Oh, if you get your main event seat.
Obviously, that's the reason
Right.
I'm playing the Mega Super Satellite.
Right.
So I can get a main event
But
seat.
what I'm saying, I think it's a thing where, you know, it'd be very, very, since we know since we know, you know, Denny and stuff, we can get it started on different days if we both were to make it. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of just me missing any shows. I don't know if I want to miss
Right,
any shows.
right.
I'm just having a lot of fun doing the show.
And the cash games here are just so great, Dave. You know, we were talking how much we played the media event. Basically, with the media event, there were about 100 or 150 people. If you weren't a past Legends winner and you won, you got $2,500 and you got $2,500 donated to charity. We were seriously talking how much were we taking the worst of it by losing 6 hours of cash in the afternoon. When there was such a slight chance. You know, we go and play for 5.5 hours. We finish second, we get nothing.
Well, the funny thing was, see, last year when I played in the media event, I was sitting down at a table with 6 or 7 media event
Right.
people. I was actually sitting down with Scott Huff, which is where I met him, and we built a nice relationship, and it was worth it. This year, though, I actually got to sit down. I was sitting down with 7 legends.
Right.
So I wasn't even sitting down with anybody that I could actually network with.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, well, this is kind of worthless for me. I'm going to move all in. If I get chips, I get chips. Otherwise, I'm going to go play some cash games.
I got nothing. How about
I did lose a $20 last longer to Jay Siegel, the potato.
you were expecting to threw away that draw.
It was pretty much a $20 gift, considering I moved all in with 7-4 of hearts.
Button moves over here to Tony.
I said, I told you I was gambling up. I just moved in with 7-4. Said, hey, see what happens.
You know,
It
Dave,
was like the 5th hand.
I mean, not to rip the guy personally, Tony in seat 2, but, you know, I just love him in the game because just some of the fundamental things that go on in
Yeah.
No Limit, I just don't think he grasps it.
No, clear. I mean, the
Yeah.
funny thing is he's a very successful tournament player, but obviously does not transfer well to cash games sometimes.
Yeah.
And you often see him, he slow plays his big hands. Generally speaking, if Tony has a monster, he is raking in a smallish pot.
Right.
And when he has a really, really good second best hand, he is pushing out all of his chips.
And that is really telling. Yeah.
That's a bad,
Yeah.
bad combination there. I mean, generally speaking, the secret to winning poker is win a lot on your winning hands and lose little on your losing hands. It's not a big secret to poker.
Jack 5 here with a couple diamonds. George is going to bet 60 here with ace high. That's probably going to do it.
Yeah, I
and
don't
again,
think
you know,
Lynette-
Tony is a guy. Yeah, Lynette's not going to get involved there with the 5. You know, Tony is also a guy that probably would. I love calling his raises, especially his bigger raises, which means they're big pocket pairs, because no matter how deep he is, if he's got aces and I flop a low set, I can manipulate that pot where I'm going to get all his money by the end.
Oh, no, not even a question, right.
Yeah.
But if you have a second or third best hand, he will not, and he will only lose the minimum.
And because what will happen is, and I've had it happen to him before, is I might have an overpair. He flopped a set. I keep the pot real small, and he ends up winning maybe an extra 300 or 400 when I had pocket aces, and he flopped a set of 3s.
Right.
And that's the inherent difference, right
Of
there.
course, and obviously it's really tough to be a winning player. I want to talk about somebody else. We saw another player today pretty much risk about an $8,000 stack with just one pair of aces. He had pocket aces in the hole.
Yeah.
And he risked his whole stack. And what was really telling is what he said after the hand. And I'm going to get to this right afterwards because it's a lesson for me, it's a lesson for you, and it's a lesson for everybody listening to the show.
Tony has raised it with ace-6. Jeff comes back over and re-raises, and Tony is out of there. Let's go through the hand.
Anyway, I want to just say what he
Okay,
said, first
go
of all. This gentleman had pocket aces. And I often talk to Jonas about this, I've talked to Mo about this, I've talked to a lot of really good players about it. And they say one of the reasons tight players are generally losing players, I mean just tight, not aggressive, tight players are generally losing players in a no-limit game is they wait all day for a big hand. And when they get it, because they've waited all day for it, they'll be damned if they're going to get rid of it. And this gentleman, with his pocket aces, he literally risked $8,000. And what he said was what was so telling about it. After the hand, he said, hey, I was waiting all day for these. There's no way I was going to throw them away. And that is such a dangerous way to think about it. I got to tell you, I've gotten to the point now where I'm playing in these games. I am not trying to protect my hand. I'm trying to protect my chips. Okay? And whether I have 3-5 suited, Jack 10, or aces, I don't really care. Because I'm going to be playing that specific hand depending on what's going on.
Now, this one was limped around here. Aaron has an overpair with 9s and a gut shot. Jeff has top pair and the same gut shot. This could be a little bit interesting here. And look at this. Jerry's got king deuce of diamonds. He's got a flush draw. And Lynette is open-ended with ace-8. Now, she doesn't have any kind of backdoor spades.
Right.
You wonder if she's even going to chase here with the 2 flush. She's
I gotta tell
real
you,
solid, real tight.
If there was one spade out there, maybe she takes one off.
Yeah.
But without a spade out there, you got to also remember if a 9 or a 4 would have fall, does she get paid?
Right. There might be other people in there with 8s.
Yeah, do you really want to get involved? Now,
Now, this really puts Aaron... Jeff came out and bet, and Aaron is almost paralyzed. Do you want to raise with this board? Do you want to make this pot any bigger? It's very draw-heavy, but there are a lot...
Yeah, there's kind of a twofold thing here. You might want to smooth call. You might want to put a little bump in there and see where you're at. Put a little heat. Now, if you take any heat back, you can quickly throw it away. It depends how deep you are, obviously.
Jerry's got king deuce of diamonds here. A bet and a call. He calls. Now, always what you got to be wary of when I get a caller by a solid player in between like Aaron is Aaron on the nut flush draw.
Right, and Lynette quickly, when you get 2 callers in there, Lynette quickly throws it away.
And look at this. The turn is an 8.
It's a diamond,
have
though.
Straights, and Jerry's got a flush. But look at Aaron. He has got a straight flush draw, but Jeff has the 7 of diamonds in his hand, so it's not
exactly.
going to come.
And this is one of those rare cases where I want to say... Actually, the odd thing is here, Jeff actually can catch the 4 of diamonds here to win this.
That's right. He's got.
That's why he's got 2% chance.
Straight flush draw.
Right, but the 9 of diamonds is in Aaron's hand, so the 4 of diamonds is the only out for Jeff here. But Jerry's going to put a lot of heat here on these players. I'm not sure if Jeff can get away from this.
No, Dave,
open-ended with the straight already.
Dave, no, actually, again, it's that little malfunction there. There's no way Aaron can hit a straight flush here because Jeff has the 7 of diamonds.
No, but Jeff can, though. That's not a malfunction.
Oh, Jeff can. You're right.
Yeah, Jeff can catch a 4 of diamonds, which is why he's 2%. And my question here is now when Jerry raises it...
And look at Aaron. He just folded pocket 9s. He got out of there.
3 diamonds out there. Come on.
No, but I'm just saying, it's often a time that...
But can Jeff get away from it?
And he makes it 1,200 more, Jerry does.
Can Jeff get away from it? He's open-ended straight flush draw with the straight.
You might think that's an easy laydown, but how many times do we see somebody call with pocket 9s
No,
there?
you're 100% correct. I know.
Yeah. I really like Aaron's game from what I've seen so far over there in Seed 8. What a brutal beat he took against Allen, man. Allen is just on fuego.
1 jack, by the way, because Mo folded king jack. So 1 outer. It's really sick.
Well, Jerry's looking at it. I mean, Jeff is looking at it. Remember, Jeff bet the flop. He got called in 2 spots. Is it out of the realm of possibility that somebody called with the flush draw here? And Jerry
exactly. No,
has
I mean,
raised.
that's what I mean.
And Jerry
Exactly. No,
has
I mean,
raised.
that's what I mean. I mean, you got to look at this going. I mean, if the guy has a flush, I know your hand looks pretty. Okay, I have an open-ended straight flush draw with a pair, with a straight. He's going to call this.
Wow.
But you got to realize that if your opponent has a flush, you have 2 outs. At best, you have 2 outs.
This pot is $3,300 to the river. And the river is a 6.
And now you can't even beat a set. Now you can't beat the full house either.
Now, a lot of people might... Is Jerry going to check this down? And he did. I had a feeling he might check it down. And
Are you kidding me?
I know. I was going to say, a lot of people might check this down. They get scared when the board pairs. And Jerry checks it behind him.
I mean, it's one thing if you're like 10, 12, 15,000 deep. But I think Jerry only had like another, what, maybe 2,800, 27? Not even. I'm sorry. He has maybe $2,000, $2,200. If you put a nice, actually, your value bet would be $1,500 on the river. I mean,
Maybe
who cares?
maybe 1,000 on the river.
Who cares if they got check raises you all in? Oh man, I got to tell you, odd play there.
But again, like I said, really good play there by Aaron to realize that the guy was behind him. He made the straight, but he just got rid of it.
Yeah. Realized that maybe I can beat this guy, but what about the guy behind me? What was he in there with?
Yeah.
No, you're 100% correct.
Button moves her to seat 5.
I got a straight flush draw and a made straight. I got a made straight.
Anyway, so I'm going to repeat that one more time. I just want to point it out that you see these players that play really tight, and you hear him say something along the lines of, I've waited all day for this hand. There's no way I'm going to throw it away.
I was in the green.
Man, I got to tell you, that is such a dangerous way to play this game. Really is. And those are the kind of players you want to play against. It's the guys that can't get rid of the aces and the kings because they wait all day for them. You know?
Yeah, I won 2 years. 2 years in a row. I think I lost.
And I know you guys have all been there because I've been there too, where you're just not catching any cards. You wait all day for a big hand, you get it, and then you're playing in the hand, and it's pretty obvious you're probably beat. But damn it, I've been waiting all day for this hand. There's no way I'm throwing it away now. And that's usually where mistakes happen. People overcommitting with a hand like ace-king or overcommitting with a hand like jacks or queens or tens because they haven't gotten a hand all day. They get impatient. Top pair here for Lynette, and Sean's got a set of 6s. Let's see exactly how much money Lynette has. I'm getting... I want to look here. I'm trying to peek here. It looks like she's only got about like 600 or 700. And she's kind of short here, and she's picked up a diamond draw now. She's got some outs here. And I got to tell you, if she bets this, I'm going to move in if I'm with Sean, and I'm going to make her commit all the chips. She's got a lot of outs here. She's picked up a gut shot straight draw as well. She can pick up a diamond or a king as long as the diamond is not the 10 of diamonds. So she actually has 8 outs plus 3 kings. She has 11 outs here. She's a 3-1 dog. And I got to tell you, very easy for Sean here. Move all in. She's not that deep. And I just don't see how she gets away from this here, not with the redraw. Yeah, and sure enough, seat 5 raises. Lynette's going to call, and we quickly have about a $2,500 pot to the river. She's going to need a king or a diamond, and it does not come. The 8 of hearts come, and Lynette has gone broke again. Sean with the set of 6s is going to take it down. Lynette, I mean, not much you can do there. I mean, you got top pair, you bet it. Then the ace of diamonds comes. You think that's a great card for you. Gives her a lot more outs. And Sean takes it down. And Lynette, she probably thought it was her lucky day, but Bart really screwed her. Bart set her up on this dangerous path of losing money.
And is she locking it up, though? Oh, okay. I think she's done.
Yeah, Lynette Chan, she lost about, I want to say, close to $3,000 or $4,000.
With her style of
$4,000,
with her style of play, I mean, it is just one night. But I got to tell you, I really would be surprised I would not be surprised if that's not her biggest loss, say, this month. She probably doesn't have losses more than that. She might have one loss every couple months, like tonight.
No, a lot of things have to go bad for her. I mean, she's got to pick up top pair with a diamond draw, stuff like that. She's got to get set over set for her to lose a lot of money. I also probably say that her big wins aren't that big either.
Just because she plays it a little bit tight.
Yeah, exactly. Her swings are not going to be like Corporation Mike's.
Yeah.
They're probably not even going to be like mine. She's a very solid player. Obviously, King, Queen, Jack of Diamonds. I got to tell you, I probably go broke in that hand too. I mean, top pair. She picks up a gut shot with the diamond draw on the turn. I don't think she can go anywhere there.
we had a raise here by Paul with ace jack, and Aaron's hit top pair. He
Wow,
calls
Aaron
in position.
calling it.
Yeah.
In position with queen 7 offsuit.
And a check call here by Paul. He's got an overcard and a gut shot, and he's got the ace of diamonds in his hand.
Yeah, Paul's been making these kind of like odd calls, calling with overcards all day long. You really wonder.
Turns a 5. Aaron now has a straight draw,
I mean, I gotta tell you, if you hit your ace, do you really like it?
and Aaron's going to bet 100 here.
And he's gonna throw it away. I mean, that's the only question for me, though. You wonder these players. Now, sure enough, the ace would have come on the river, but I always wonder, though, the ace comes, how do you know your opponent wasn't in there with ace queen, ace 8, or ace 9? I mean, you could be almost drawing dead. I gotta tell you, no limit. I'm not looking to, I don't want to trap myself.
Got a little over, about an hour and 15 minutes left in the show. Cruiser Rabbit on 2+2 says, I think a heads up between Corporation Mike and Gavin Smith would be interesting as
That
well.
would be interesting. I think I actually would put my
we've
money on
always-
Corp Mike, but we'll see what happens.
Really? I mean, I got to tell you, though, but Gavin Smith has got way more tournament experience than Mike does, and especially the heads up format.
But no, well, actually, I'll go back on that. Corporation Mike's been playing a lot of heads up. He's been challenging a lot of players. Probably he's played about, 50 or so heads up matches over the last 3 or 4 months.
He likes to play with Gore a lot, Hollywood, West
Exactly.
Hollywood
He'll play
Henry.
pretty much anybody heads up all the time.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of experience heads up, and he's really good at reading other
Yeah,
players.
and he's really good at reading boards now, too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, normally, most people would look at that and go, "Oh, Gavin Smith's gonna kill him." I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, I like Corporation Mike's game a lot.
Paul is raised here with ace king of clubs, and George is called with 4-8 of diamonds. Old Paul flopped a flush draw and overcards here, David.
Yeah, George in bad shape. Obviously, George is down the 4 outs here. Not gonna call.
Now, again, George is kind of he really plays some big mix games. I've seen him play 300-600 mix before. He was playing the 80-160. He probably played the tournament and got knocked out. You can see he's got over 10,000 on the table.
Yeah, we got a lot of money on this table. Not quite as much as you and I earlier on when we were playing in the 10-20
Well, that's
game.
that's the other thing we were talking about too. In my hesitation sometimes to play this game, and I am comfortable now, as opposed to say the 600 game at Commerce, is this gameplay so damn bigger than the one at Commerce for the most part.
Oh, this 10-20 game is ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
like I was pointing out, we literally had 80,000 on the table
Yeah.
this afternoon in a 10-20 game. You almost never see that at Commerce.
Yeah,
Normally that's
it's
like a
almost
20-40.
like playing like a 2040 game. Yeah,
In a weird way, it was. Yeah, Jerry here with 2 black aces.
he just limps in.
And he's going to get a couple of limpers here, and he's going to see this 4 ways. Well, 3 ways, sorry.
King, Queen, 10.
Oh, what a
all hearts.
terrible
Oh.
flop with 2 black aces.
And it's an unraised pot.
God.
Jeez.
I mean, that is such an ugly flop, because the problem with that flop is if you bet your 2 black aces and somebody calls you, you have no idea where they're at.
And it gets checked around. Well, now he picks up a jack.
Well, he's got the straight. Now, Paul has the ass end of the straight.
Yeah, but Paul
Yeah.
gets rid of it. And look at it, Jerry shows the aces. It's funny. Let's say, Dave, you limp in with 2 black aces trying to pull the limp re-raise, and let's say it gets around 4 other people limp and the blinds are in there and it's 6 ways. I got to tell you, under the gun, I think I check fold there.
Oh, that flop? Yeah.
It's a check fold.
Because once again, I always point out, if you're going to bluff into a pot, or even if you're going to bet into a pot, try to find out where you're at. With a flop like that, you'll get no information. Because if somebody calls you, you don't really know if they're calling you with 2 pair, they're calling you with a set, they're calling you with a flush, or they're calling you with a big draw like a jack or a heart or something like that. You get nothing out of it.
It's funny, going back to that hand against Lynette, if you were in Lynette's spot, would you have played the hand any differently? You're obviously a little more aggressive. Would you have bet pocket tens? You probably would have taken a card, right? You probably would have thought, if I checked the flop, you probably thought I probably missed, right? If I checked the flop, would you have taken the card there with tens towards the end on the flop? Regardless of the point, knowing me, do you make the laydown with tens full there? I mean, it's such a hard laydown. I think people were giving her.
I got to tell you, I'm not sure if I raise you.
We got a top set here for seat number 9. He's got pocket 7s.
I'm not sure if I raise you. Because I got to start thinking, okay, if I raise him, what is he going to call me with? You're not calling with ace-jack. I don't think.
Jack here is he bets right away here with his top set, building a pot. Nice bet there, and George is going to call. George has got a straight draw here to the 5. He's got backdoor diamonds. Well, the turn is an 8.
Jack way ahead here, obviously. George is in bad shape, and I imagine George is going to fold it. Yeah, I mean, it's just, obviously, when you're playing against a good player, somebody who you know is not going to make that many mistakes, your game is completely different. I mean, you and I only locked it up really on one hand today, where I raised it in early position with pocket kings. I got called in one other spot, and then you called me with tens.
Right.
Flop came out queen high. You put out a little bet, pot-size bet, maybe a three-quarter pot-size bet. I decided to call you one time.
Right.
The other guy folded, which made me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Turn came out an ace. You checked it, and I decided to take the card, keep the pot really small.
Yeah.
And then the river went check as well. I had a feeling you weren't going to call anything there.
No.
But it was also one of those things where I just didn't want to face a big check raise by you.
Right.
I didn't really have much. I had one pair. All I could beat is really a bluff. I mean, I could beat a queen, a weak queen, but that was pretty much it.
I think we've come to, it's not, we've never said this. I'll get to it in a second here. Jeff is going to raise it up here to 80. It's funny, you might make an asinine remark and disagree with what I'm about to say, but we'll see.
But I'm just saying, I mean, the way I play against a player like you or any other good player, if I recognize somebody as, this guy is a good player, he doesn't make that many mistakes, a Kenny Wynn, a Paul, our seasoned turkey Paul, I'm not looking to mix it up with those kind of guys because they're not going to make a lot of mistakes against me. I am looking up to mix it up with a guy like Alan. You know what I mean? A guy like Dimitri, a guy like Ed, players that will make mistakes.
Ace-Jack deuce here with a couple clubs. Now, Tony has ace-10. He has checked it here over to the raiser, which was Jeff. And Jeff is going to bet. And once again, even though Tony has the best of it here, I think he would manage to lose maybe even a few $1,000s if a guy had, say, pocket jacks, ace-king. You say you bet with ace-king and Tony just continues to call. Do you put him on a weak ace and you just continue to pound him?
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Tony's going to check call this entire way down.
Yeah.
He'll go nowhere. And if you have ace-king, you can keep betting it and not worry about it at all.
Turns 6. And Jeff is, again, very good about betting. This is the part that we always talked about against Barry Green, with Barry Greenstein. Do you check the turn here? Do you bet? Barry says he really likes to bet.
I think in this case you have to bet here. And he's not going to bet. I think you have to bet that turn there. One of the reasons being you do not want to let him get a free draw at clubs. And if he is in there with something like queen 10 of clubs, well, then he's got a gut shot as well. Would have gotten there.
Yep.
And Tony's going to check it down. And once again, you see how Tony playing a weak hand out of position. He's going to either win the minimum or lose the maximum. In this case, so he wins very small pot.
So what I was going to ask you was,
go ahead.
And again, do you think we've come to an agreement or an understanding, and we've never talked about this before, we are not colluding at the table, we play against each other hard, but you're not going to check raise me with air, heads up.
I might.
See, I knew there would be an asinine comment in there. I knew it. Do you see where I'm going, though? No.
No, I have no idea where you're going.
Okay. Button moves.
Where are you going? Help me out.
We're not going to really mix it up with each other because there are better spots.
I'm in no way am I looking to mix it up with you. Like I said, I think you're a good player. You're a winning player. So, and I don't think you make that many mistakes. No Limit Hold'em is all about players making mistakes and other players taking advantage of those mistakes.
Right.
You don't make that many. You're a pretty good player. So why would I look to mix it up with you? Would I check raise you if I thought I could take the pot away? Yes.
Can I have some?
But I'm not looking for a situation to do that.
Right.
I'm not looking to show you up ooh, look, Bart, I beat you.
Right.
I could give a shit about that. I'm here to make money.
Got a raise here by Jeff.
Has nothing to do with it. It's nothing to do with ego at all. I could care less about the ego.
Pocket tens.
I'm so easy money you won't believe it.
You know what I mean? But if I thought you were weak,
right.
I'm going to try to take it away. Why not?
You got a little.
But more importantly, like I said, I'm just really not looking to mix it up with you too much. I will rarely call your raises heads up. Will I call your raise with a small pocket pair if two of the players are involved? And they're weak? Yeah, of course.
8-7-4 here. Well, a nice overpair here for Jeff, and Francois here has entered the game.
It's not a bad flop for Tony either. I mean, Tony here, you might
about
think
Francois, he's got an overcard, he's got a gut shot, and he has clubs. And he did not lead out. He checked.
I got to tell you, it's not a bad flop for anybody's hand here.
Yeah.
Remember, if a 5 were to come, Tony gets the set, but Francois makes it straight. Tony's actually in the worst shape here because he needs a 6 that is not a club. Now, obviously, the 6 of clubs is in Francois' hand, so Tony's got 3 outs pretty much, and that's it. Jeff in the lead here, but Francois is the favorite.
Oh, and Tony's going to raise here with pocket 5s. And Francois is all in. He's on the short stack. He's going to push it all in. But the problem here is, though, is if he's on the short stack, Tony's going to have to call. There isn't fold equity.
Yeah, but that's sometimes the nature of playing the short stack. You don't mind if he calls you. I got to tell you, in this case here, Francois got 3 kings. Okay?
He thought he might have 3 5s, even though he only has 2.
Right, he's got 3 kings, though, 2 5s,
Right.
which makes 9, and another 9 clubs. He's got 14 outs, and you're going to see once the guy folds, Francois is literally a coin flip here.
Well, we're counting one of the clubs twice. He's got 13 outs because the 5 of clubs.
Thank you. There you
1
go.
5, 9 clubs, and 3 kings.
1,050.
And I got to tell you, this is, I mean,
Well, wait a minute. It's 1,050 more. I guess he had bought in for a little bit. Let's do a math problem out. The pot was about 400 pre-flop. Jeff
what the hell
bet.
can you beat with 5s?
Jeff bet 170. Tony made it 500 here, and Francois has re-raised 1,000. This pot. Well, it doesn't matter because Tony is out.
Tony's going to throw it away. I mean, I got to tell you, nice play by Francois. I got to tell you, if you're in Tony's spot, yeah, I know you're ahead of Ace King of clubs, but that's the best you can really hope for, right?
Yeah.
Ace Jack of
And
clubs.
Francois missed. He missed.
Went whiff and whiff, huh? Well, nice semi-bluff there by Francois. He takes it down. You know, you get a hand like that and you're somewhat short-stacked, I got to tell you, I'm pretty sure if Barry was in the booth as well, he would say, well, that's the kind of hand you got to push with if you're short-stacked.
Gamble, gamble. Gamble, gamble. Welcome to the game.
Barry Woods would say that. Barry Greenstein also.
Put them all in up there. First hand, he just takes more of my money. I told
Button
you,
moves
I
over here to
don't know.
C3.
I'm the type of player that likes to go all in every single time. Really? Yes.
You know, I wonder if we're going to do that heads-up thing for charity. Sometimes we open that up
I'm in a rush with my pair of
to non-subscribers. I don't know if we're finagling
I
that
mean,
as a charity thing.
Thousands of dollars. We've got sponsorship already.
We're getting word that it might be opened up, just because, you know, everyone from the circuit's going to want to watch and get good introduction, good little sample into Live at the Bike.
Oh, of course, it'd be great.
9-3-3 here on the flop.
Well, top pair here for Jeff. He's going to bet it.
But they can't say that there was two.
Did Jeff limp in with 9-5
He did.
in first position?
I think maybe he straddled Dave.
Okay, that
Yeah,
makes more sense.
yeah.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
like, Jeff is one of those players. He's a pretty solid player. He likes to play his position.
You know, it's funny. There was a hand where the flop came out 10-10-7, and there was a jack on the turn. You were in a hand where exactly that happened, where it was basically limped around, and a guy made it 120. There were 6 people in the hand. It got checked around. The guy moved all in for like 300. A guy called, and you called, and you made a straight on the turn. I was the only one that folded the hand after limping in the cutoff with Queen 10 offsuit because I just don't know what I want to hit with that hand. I
King
didn't
Jack-
call
King
the
Jack
120. Right.
That's what you want to hit.
And I would have made quads there at the end. But I mean, I definitely would have called with any 2 connecting middle cards like 4-5 offsuit, but Queen 10 offsuit is just
Well, that was what
so
I mean.
tough.
I was in there with 8-9, and I don't like the hand
Yeah.
really, especially calling a big raise. But like literally, like you said, 6 people called, and I'm looking at it going, wait.
Would you call with Queen 10 off though? I just think that hand plays so bad multi-way.
Well,
it's
it's
still tough.
you're calling, but you're not looking for a queen or
Right,
a 10.
right.
You're looking for 2 10s,
Right.
or you're looking for 2 pair minimum. You know, you're looking for a straight draw. You're looking for king jack, something like that. I might have called, to be honest,
Yeah.
depending on how deep you are. I was a little deeper than you were.
Yeah.
So it made it a little more sense. I mean, I think at that point I probably had close to 8,000 in front of me, or 7,500.
Because I'm running it back in my head, and then I'm thinking, well, I definitely would call if it was suited. And again, people say, well, suitedness only adds a little bit of value. Yeah, that's right, but it can give you the ability to play your hand so much
You
more
were also
aggressively.
out of position.
No, I was in position.
Oh, you were in position.
Yeah, I was in the cutoff. The guy who
Oh,
raised
okay.
was on the button.
Yeah, you know, I'm surprised you didn't call.
Yeah.
Because the pot was already 6 callers. I mean, the
Yeah, it
pot
was
was
like
like
600.
you would have been the 7th caller. Because you were deep enough, and the whole table had you covered pretty much.
Yeah, it would have been probably
would have been a real
another
interesting.
$1,000.
Would have been an interesting pot because I flopped an open-ended straight draw. You flopped trip 10s. I probably would have never gotten to the turn.
No, because I would have checked to that guy. He would have pushed.
Now we gotta go 100.
And yeah, I either would have checked or bet to that guy. Probably would have checked because I had a feeling that guy was just going to push on anything.
Well, that's the danger. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
had bet into that guy, then I probably would have got there.
Yeah, right.
Because then I would have, he calls. Then I've got a call.
Now Jeff is raised here with pocket 8s out of the small blind. Paul's called with the ace jack suited, and Francois in there with 8-9 of spades. Wow, look at this monster hand for Jeff. He's got top set, and Francois got 8-9 here, Dave.
Yeah, it's not a bad flop for Francois. Also, normally when you have 8-9 here, your top pair with an open and straight draw. I'd like to see 1 spade out there as well, giving me some sort of backdoor possibility.
And you wonder if Francois is going to play this real aggressive. And Jeff is going to come out. He's the pre-flop raiser. He's going to bet right into his top set here. He bets 320, and Francois is going to call.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I was going to say if a 9 comes off, you'd be in danger, but not really. That's a one-liner to a straight.
2 of like diamonds. And
And the turn's a 10, and Francois got the straight. Oh, man, what a terrible card for Jeff.
Yeah, it really is an ugly card, and that's a card you got to be scared of. Normally, the funny thing is that people get scared if a 9 falls off, but it's not likely that somebody would be in there with 10 jack, a gut shot. It's more likely that somebody called with ace-9 here because they're open-ended. The 10 is actually the scary card.
Francois is going to bet a lot here. He is going to bet 800.
Wow, well, it's a nice bet here. Make it look like you don't want to call.
Yeah.
I don't want no bad beat.
And I believe, did Jeff move all in?
No, he hasn't done anything yet.
He hasn't.
And he's going to call, and this pot is quickly $2,200 here.
And he just calls, though.
And you wonder if Jeff fills up here. Is he going to move Francois in? Because it does look like Francois only has another 1,000 left.
I got to tell you, if the turn, let's see what the river happens here.
Here we go to the river. Oh, and the river's a 6, and Jeff's got it.
Now, it's really interesting here. I don't think Francois can get away from this because I think Francois is probably going to put a little bit of value bet in there.
But Jeff's first to act. Don't
I'm sorry.
Put Francois in. He only has 1,000 left.
I think it's a pretty no-brainer.
The pot's $2,200.
And
he checked it, and Francois checked behind him. Oh, everyone trying to... We've seen it so many times, Dave, with people trying to check raise the river.
Yeah, with that kind of board, you've really got to realize you just bet $800 on the turn, and the guy called you.
Yeah.
What do you think he called you with? He might have called you at the same hand, a 9.
Yeah.
He also might have called you with 2 pairs, 7-6, 8-6, something like that. He might have called you with a set.
Well, I got to point out, and you said it to me because I saw you try to check raise a guy yesterday. Jeff is shaking his head. Cannot say it's a clear cut. Jeff might have thought, he doesn't know Francois, he might have thought Francois had absolutely nothing when he bet the turn.
Definitely.
And he tried to make him bluff at it again.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's interesting play. Obviously, you and I are always advocates for playing your hand, betting your hand. Don't look for that check raise. You have to have it in your arsenal, though. Because if you never check raise, and I told you this afternoon, if you never check raise, well, then your opponent knows every single time you check to them, well, they can bet because you don't have anything.
And again, we look at it and we say, well, wow, can't believe Jeff bet the river. But Jeff might have thought Francois had absolutely nothing, was going to bluff at it at the end.
Well, and you've got to realize that if you, like I said, if you never check raise, you're just giving you're giving away way too much because every single time you do check, your opponent will know, oh, Bart's got nothing because he checked to me. Bart doesn't like the check raise.
And Tony here has raised it with pocket kings. And that's the other thing about Tony, too. Kind of does the opposite of whatever we preach here on the show. Varies his pre-flop raise sizes, where if he makes a big raise, he has a big pocket pair as well. Got about an hour left in the show here.
And obviously it just looks, Jeff looks stupid by checking there and getting the check behind. Because obviously Francois probably would have called off his last $1,000. But obviously it's a fine line between looking like a genius and looking pretty stupid in poker. We all do it. I did it today, where I had a flush draw and a gut shot. I made my gut shot straight on the river. I checked to the guy because I thought he had nothing. I really thought he was bluffing. I thought he was making a move, and I figured if I even breathed on the pot, he wouldn't call me. I thought the best way for me to get any money out of it was to check to him. Didn't work. He checked behind. Obviously he had a hand.
Got a $100 raise here by Jeff.
Unless there was really a lot of money.
Interesting email here by Jason Whitmore. He says, speaking of heads up, Art, whatever happened to the game you were going to play with Mike 5, 6, 7 months ago? Now that would be fun to watch. Well, I'll get to that in a second because I have an interesting answer for you. George here has called, and Sean is going to call here with King Jack. So again, Jeff, the pre-flop raiser. Here we go to the flop. Ace, King, Queen with a couple of hearts.
Well, it's not a terrible flop for Jeff here. Jeff has got a gut shot, plus the heart draw. He can catch a jack to hit the nuts, and a heart here. Sean with only second pair, and if Jeff puts some heat on it, you imagine Jeff will take it down.
Yeah, Jeff bets 300. Can Sean really get involved here with King Jack? Doesn't look like
really puts him in a tough spot.
And Sean shows him the 9-10 hearts. I got to be honest with you, with this email, and he would have gotten there on the turn. I think it's kind of a twofold answer. If Mike played me heads up, I think he would want to do it for a decent amount of money where it would be worth it for him to do it, like, say, $1,000 a match. And I'm not pussying out, but I'm really not interested in it because I don't think I have that big of an edge, if an edge at all. Why would I want to play Mike heads up, who really, I think, he's a good player now, especially heads up, has more experience than me heads up, for serious money?
Right, and when you say 1,000, he's probably more like 2,500 or even 4,000.
Right. Would you play him heads up for 2,500?
I would, but I'll tell you why. I'll tell you
Yeah.
a different reason I would.
Yeah, let's take a look at the chip count.
Wow, look at that. 49-4 at the table. Already almost 50,000. Jeff and George over 10,000 each. Let's see how they're doing.
Well, Sean is up 4,000. Wow.
Yeah, wow.
C5.
Well, I mean, a couple of real suckouts. You weren't in the booth actually against Rafi.
Oh,
Rafi bought
yeah.
him for like 4,000 and just gave him all his money.
Yeah.
Wasn't right, and Rafi got his money with the best of it every single time. I would play Mike heads up, and I'll tell you how I would play him. It would be a specific format. I would want to play him in a freeze-out, shootout format.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's how he basically does play. heads
right.
up, though.
See, I would play it that way, and I wouldn't want to really escalate the blinds,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't want it to be just a heads-up game.
Oh, you wouldn't escalate the blind? Well, it
No,
wouldn't be a
I just
heads-up
play
game.
it. It just be. Wouldn't mind escalating the blinds, but I wouldn't need to. I'd rather just play poker. I just wouldn't want it to be to the point where he can buy in for 20,000 and I only have 5,000.
Oh, no, yeah, no, I don't think that was the idea.
I played heads up with him. I've actually
Right.
played heads up with him where it was just a cash game.
So you're saying you want to play, basically, buy in for the same amount. Whoever wins takes it all, but the blinds don't really escalate all that much.
I mean, if you want to, you can escalate him every 30 or 40 minutes.
I think
but I don't
that's
think
actually
you need
how
to.
he plays his heads-up matches
Yeah.
against score. They don't
I
really
would-
escalate the blinds.
I have no problem playing that. You know.
Okay.
Do I have a big edge against Mike? Probably not. No.
Yeah.
Mike's a very good player. Can I pick a better spot for my money? Yeah, probably.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm talking about if we were to do that, I think Mike would play for some serious money, at least in relations with me, say 3,000, 5,000 a match, and I'm not going to do that. I could pick a better spot than that.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind playing him like a best of three, $2,500 each match.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. But at the same time, like you pointed out, yeah, I'm not really about my ego.
Right.
I check my ego at the door, like
Yeah.
most good players. I'm here to make money. I'm not here to like prove to everybody that I'm the best player.
Right. Got a raise here by George. Looks like he's got ace, queen of hearts, and he's going to take it down.
I have no problem admitting Mike's a very good player, and short-handed and heads up, Mike is very, very good. He's very dangerous there.
You know, it's so funny, though, that Mike doesn't seem to do well. He doesn't have a lot of tournament success because I think it's almost like he almost has one gear. He almost gets impatient with the tournaments.
Well, that's the problem. We always thought that he'd be really, really good at tournaments, and that's part of the issue is the fact that he has. You have to have some endurance, and you have to have some patience
Right.
to kind of wait out those bad runs. Because remember, I think one of Mike's biggest strong points in the cash games is his fear. He is fearless, but he puts that fear of losing money into his opponents.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in a tournament, once you buy in, you're not scared of losing your chips. They're not like real money anymore. So it's hard to bully tournament players. Especially nowadays. If you ask many of the pros, I think 15, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, a lot of the big-name pros could bully, like Amir Vahidi, they could bully some of the passive players. I think today it's really, really tough to bully them. Doyle Brunson was actually saying that it's almost impossible the first 2 or 3 levels. Don't even bother bluffing, because nobody believes you anyway.
Jeff has raised it up here with pocket fives. George and Aaron have both called here. This pot is quickly about $300. Oh, king, queen, 7. Funny, if Jeff bets out, he's probably going to take it down.
Yeah, well, he's got the best hand. George in there with 8-4 offsuit. Wow. Really stretching it there. I mean, that's the thing. If you think about it, a lot of pros have been saying that where they're like, oh, the first 3 or 4 levels, I'm not even going to bother bluffing at all because nobody believes you. And you can imagine if you take bluffing out of Mike's arsenal, I mean, does Mike even play?
Right.
I don't think Mike can not bluff.
And Jeff is going to take it down there with that bet. You know, I definitely agree with you. You know, I was actually talking with Seat 3 there, Jeff, and he was talking about how he likes to play mixed, or excuse me, Jerry, talking about how he likes to play mixed games. And I've heard some discussion from a couple of different people. I don't know if I believe it, but he says, you know, horse is the new thing, man. It's going to get big. I love it. I would love for horse to get big because I think, I mean, even though I think I have a big edge in no-limit cash games, in tournaments, I think I play those games a lot better than most people do. Whereas, you know, when you play Hold'em tournaments, Dave, I'm not saying everyone plays well, but when you in a mixed game format, there's at least a couple games that everyone plays bad. That one player
Well,
plays
I mean,
bad,
it's like
you know?
Mike Sexton said, you know, I mean, Hold'em, no limit Hold'em, it takes a second to learn the game,
Right.
a lifetime to really perfect. But like you said, I mean, God, I mean, you can get some 70-year-old grandma who's never played the game,
Right.
teach her it, and she could probably pick it up and at least be like, oh, okay.
Right.
So if I get ace-king, I can move all in, right?
Right.
You know, try teaching her Omaha 8 or better,
Right.
seeing how she does.
Yeah.
I mean, it could take her 6 months to figure out how to read a board.
Ace Queen 5 here. Tony's going to come out and bet just as a pure bluff. He lived in with Jack 3. And I assume Aaron is not going to get involved here. Well, Aaron Smith... No, he's not going to get involved.
All right, what's your kicker this time?
Let's see if Tony shows the bluff. No, he does not. The only game that I don't have a lot of experience in the horse mix-up is Stud High. That would be the only one that I would want to practice.
I actually have a
Maybe
good book.
read
I have a good book, and I'll
Skolansky's
give you a
book.
book on it.
Skolansky has a book
I
about
have
Stud
that,
High.
and I think I've raised. It's Ray Z and Skolansky, I believe.
Ray Z does a Stud High book?
thought
No,
it
it's the
was-
advanced book, right?
Oh, actually, you want to know the best book on stud? Forget Skolansky's book. Get Super System 1, read Chip Reese's chapter on it.
Oh, is it a good chapter?
Chip
Yeah.
Reese is the best stud player in the world. He's phenomenal.
Even better than Ivy, you think?
Well, I don't know now.
Or
I mean,
Ted Forrest. Those are the guys that...
Yeah, I don't know now, but I
Yeah.
mean, Chip Reese was well renowned as one of the best stud players in the world when he was playing and coming up through the ranks.
Because again,
reading his chapter was, he was phenomenal.
you always hear about Ted Forrest and Ivy, and interesting to note that Barrett Rainson said that Larry Flynn is a really good stud player, and if he moved down, he would be one of the best players. Say in an 81-60 game, that's not low stakes.
No, not at
Yeah.
all. But you're talking about a guy who's a multi-billionaire. He wants to play against the best.
Right,
He wants to challenge
right.
himself. He's not in it for the money.
No, but I'm just saying that he's not. When you talk about a guy that's a live one in that game, you're talking about, splitting hairs in terms of what's live. It's not like having Ed Shonazarian in a no-limit game. You know what I mean?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
you're not getting guys that are just giving you money. I mean,
Right.
I had a guy today. You weren't at the table. You got up for a second. I couldn't believe it. I limp in with aces in first position. I get called in 6 spots. Guy in the big blind makes it 70 to go. And I just decided to take it down. I'm going, you know what? I'm just going to take the pot right now. Who knows? Maybe somebody won't believe me.
Yeah.
I make it $1,000. $1,000 I make it. Okay? It folds around to the guy who raised it up to 70. He thinks about it for about a minute and he goes, okay, I'm all in. Okay, obviously I call with aces. And he shows me King 10 of diamonds. I mean, obviously.
And who was that guy? That was the guy from Absolute.
Some
Corey-
guy from Absolute.
What's his name? Casey. Ronnie, do you know what I'm talking about? Casey.
Casey Kaysen?
You don't know? Did you know poker? Ronnie knows a lot of these guys. Casey, somebody who's sponsored by Absolute.
Yeah, and you wonder if maybe he was just playing below what he normally plays. He was just kind of donking off a little money.
Yeah.
But I would assume you don't see gifts like that. But from what Barry said, he goes, when some players steam, whether it's Sammy Farhar or Patrick Antonius or players like that, if they're steaming, hey.
Antonis.
Antonis?
Yeah, Antonis.
I heard he's quite boring, by the way.
Quite boring.
Yeah, I heard he's like dreadfully dull.
Check there by George. Jeff is going to bet.
I had a girlfriend of mine, friend that was a girl, interview him for a TV show,
Yeah.
for a poker TV show. And she said she was all excited about meeting him because she was like, oh, he's so hot.
Right.
God, I can't wait to meet this guy. He's such a stud. And she said she could not believe how ugly he became after a 30-minute interview because he was so dreadfully boring.
Actually, Shirley told me the same thing. Like some of the stuff that he did, he was on our Omaha table in the 5,000 event, and he was just sitting there like playing on his cell phone, texting. And the dealer asked him 5 times, and he just ignored her. Then they finally asked to have the floor man, and he played it so bad that Shirley was like, "Boy, I'm over him." Quickly, that's what she said.
Yeah, I mean that's the word. I mean, like I said, I obviously I could care less. It was just funny when I heard my friend say this to me, like, "Oh God, he's so hot. I can't wait to meet him. I was so looking forward to it." And
90 total?
she said literally he was just like a piece of cardboard.
$90 raise here by George out of seat 1. We need to see his cards.
90 total.
Francois is going to call with 9-6 of hearts.
Oh, I got 2 of
And George has ace-queen here, and Jeff calls behind with king-4 of diamonds. Well, there's the ace. George is going to bet. And he takes it down.
Betting 120.
And I want you to check out, actually, I want you to check out our site. There is I want you to check out the Bluff Cartoon banner. And it is on the... And it's on the right-hand side of the screen. And it kind of lights up. It's a cartoon thing. It's kind of cool, actually. Check it out. And it's kind of like the all-in for Cure, WPT, Bluff cartoon thing. Nice little warm hug. And we're actually checking it out right now.
I saw my seafood.
And there it is.
Right hand corner, right above
Life's
the,
a Bluff, the web comic for poker players by poker players every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Click on that. Check it out. And that's it. Button is in seat number 9. Once again, small blind 10, big blind 20. Action's on Francois. He's going to limp in. He's got the old 6-7 of spades. And we're going to see a little raise here from Jeff. Jeff likes to raise in position, and once again, he's going to raise in position by himself the button. And he's got 7-6 also, 7-6 suited. He's got clubs. Francois got spades. Paul is not going to call at 9-5 clubs. Aaron not going to call. Jack's not going to call. But Tony is going to call with ace-7 suited. And George is in there with queen-8. Man, George, wow, look at this. Nice flop for Tony.
Yeah, he flops the nut flush here. And as you will see, he will play this as slow as he can go in seat 2.
And
I'm
it
sure
checks
he
around.
will never put any money
Now,
in this
okay,
pot.
now I want to point this out. The pot is already $320 pre-flop. Let's see how much money he puts in the
And
pot.
look at this, a 4th heart comes off.
Betting 90.
Well, now he's going to get George to bet with the 8 of hearts. He's going to call.
Yeah.
And I assume that George probably should check fold the river, right?
Pretty much. This is
Yeah.
pretty much like classic, like, Tony's got the nuts, let's keep the pot as small as possible.
Yeah. And the river's a 10. George checks.
George checks. And Tony, and one thing Tony does here, he likes to make really, really small bets on the river to make sure he gets called.
Yep. And look at this, he bets
110.
110 into a $500 pot.
Right, he bets 1/5 of the pot,
Yeah.
pretty much begging for a call.
And George lays it down.
Right, pretty much I'm begging for a call.
And now he shows the nut flush. And we play with him so much, we see it time and time and again. This is a guy that you definitely kind of
Right.
want to do the exact opposite of what he does.
And I want to point something out. If somebody had, let's just for example,
Somebody
Tony
flopped the
had,
low flush.
Or no, let's say Tony had, let's say you or I were in the hand.
Yeah.
And I had a set. Okay?
Right.
I guarantee you, if I don't fill up, that is all I'm going to lose on the hand.
Yeah.
But if I fill up on the turn or the river,
You'll
Tony
win.
is going to give me his entire stack.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Button moves over here to seat 1.
And I see here that Bart's got one of those pretty little purple chips. Man, I love these chips. They're just cool. Can I have this chip?
5,000.
Come on, you're just giving.
I'm
five.
not- I'm
you
not
give
rich
five,
like you.
You give 5,000 away like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Come on. Hey, I'll make a deal. Sign up for my tournament, okay? I'll put you in here. I'll just blind you off and take your money. How's that?
You know, anyone again who's an archive subscriber, Dave and I actually played Heads Up in Vegas. If you go back, I don't know exactly sure which episode. Maybe someone can help me out there. We played a Heads Up match and I beat him.
Yes.
Jack 9 here.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah.
Dave tried to bluff.
I flopped the flush. I bet. Dave raised. I re-raised. Dave pushed me all in. Could read.
There's a poker game going on. Really?
Surprise. Dave tried to bluff.
Started about 2.5 hours.
I would take my chances against you heads up. I think you're an excellent player, and I have no desire to be. If you were in a full ring game and I see you in the game, does not make me happy.
Turns a 9.
But I
and,
would take my chances against you heads up.
Tony's going to bet 50 here.
And I certainly would take my chances against you in any
Excuse me, Jerry bets.
last
there.
longer. I think I need to play a last longer with you just to last in these tournaments.
Like I said, as long as I keep lasting longer than you when I'm not betting with you for last longer, I'm going to keep it that way.
I'm going to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Butt moves over here to
Yes, Jay Siegel, potato. The potato of Live to Bike won a $20 last longer from me in the media event.
You know,
It's pretty much a $20 gift. Like I said, I literally moved in on the fifth hand with 7-4 of hearts.
You know, the funny thing about that is when we talk about how poker really isn't an ego thing, you know, you say you have no problem playing against me heads up, and I really don't care.
Right,
Like, I don't see.
No, I know.
You know what I mean? It's just
There's
like
no edge there. I know.
Yeah. You know?
No, I'm with you. I'm not looking to play you heads up. Like I
Right,
said,
right.
the annoying thing is actually if I walk into a casino and I walk in and obviously you and I play together a lot because we don't have a choice.
110 total.
But I'm annoyed when you're in the game.
Right.
Because, you know, anybody who knows my rating system, I go +3. Let's say a Dimitri or an Ed is +3. And let's say, you know, Paul, I now consider you probably a -2 or a -3. You're not good for the game. I don't want you in the game.
Now,
Go the hell away, okay?
George is raised here with Ace King suited. And Jeff is going to call with king 3. He is dominated here. Here we go to the flop.
Well,
And there's the king.
now, is Jeff going to get involved here? I mean, that's not the flop you're looking for king 3 of diamonds. Just it. I'm not sure what flop you are looking for with king 3 of diamonds, short of 3 diamonds with an ace out there. But that's certainly not the flop.
Well, he's going to come out and bet. I really
Well-
don't mind it.
No, I think you have to bet. You've got top pair. But if George even calls you, you really got to figure out what the heck you're doing.
He bets 200. Well, let's see how George is going to play this. Is he going to pop it up?
Well, the problem is, I mean, can you just call this? Do you think maybe Jeff is betting a flush draw? Do you want to give him a free draw?
And he just calls.
Maybe pop it on the turn?
Well, now there's king queen that you don't beat.
Right, exactly. One more hand you cannot beat. And I got to tell you, if you're Jeff here, you might bet one more time thinking your opponent's on a flush draw.
And look who's coming into seat 6. It's Mr. Tournament, the tournament named after him, Frank Mariani in the game.
Oh, well, there you go.
Seat 4, excuse me. And now Jeff bets 500, and now I think George is going to be content to call and hope that this guy doesn't have king queen.
Yeah, well, you got to realize that both players are pretty deep. Do you
river's
really
a
want to
10.
lose all your money with ace king? It's only one pair.
And now we got to check. And would you value bet ace king here? It looks like George might.
I
He's going
think,
to bet.
yeah, I think when he checks to you, I think you have to bet this. I really
You
do.
try to make it look like maybe you have busted hearts. He bets 500. The pot,
Remember, you can beat king jack. You can beat king jack.
it's a $1,300 pot, 500 to call, and Jeff
Does not call.
does not call. Wow. That's a pretty good laydown there by Jeff. Well, I guess he figures.
Well, that's a big laydown. I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing that's kind of odd is, I mean, George easily could have been calling with the nut flush draw. Calling with the nut flush draw. Well, now you check to him. He's missed. Okay, well, I have to bluff at it.
Well, again, a weaker player might not bet ace king there, but by George betting ace king, it adds another hand that you have to take into consideration. If he doesn't bet ace king, he either has a busted flush draw or he's made some sort of set in there with a queen or a 10. Remember, it came queen 10.
Right, and would he slow play a set with two hearts out there? Then that's how you start kind of like unraveling the mystery of a hand. You go,
Right.
well, is this the type of player that would get scared by 2 hearts? Could he be slow playing a set? And if you start going, well, no, he wouldn't slow play a set there, well, then you dismiss the set. And you start going, okay, well, if he doesn't have that, maybe he does have busted hearts and he is bluffing.
Button moves over here to c3.
Obviously, when you start betting your marginal hands, like in that case, ace-king is not a monster. When you start betting it, it becomes much harder to play against that player.
Yep. We have a $60 raise here by Tony with king jack. Again, that is a real smallish raise in this game. Four-way action here. Well, he's hit the jack. Now look at this.
Oh, he's hit
Jerry's
2 pair, actually. Look at that. Frank's got 2 pair.
Frank's got top 2. Jerry's got the nut flush draw, and Frank bets right away. And like you said, Tony is probably going to lose a lot in this hand.
And you know what? That's what Barry was pointing out here.
Yeah.
Frank here, he doesn't have any wine with him.
Yeah.
And Frank, he's very he's kind of scary because you never know what he's betting.
$1,000 pot. The turn is an 8. Now Jerry picks up a pair with his clubs.
Now, if Jerry can actually catch an ace, an 8, or a club here, you see that he's a 29% favorite here. Tony in really bad shape.
And and Frank Mariani bets again. He bets 900. And again, look at how much Tony is committing there with king jack. And you know that Frank, he might be bluffing. We get a call and an overcall. This pot is quickly $4,000.
I mean, it's
and Mariani's in the lead. How about a jack on the river and Mariani moves in, and I think Tony would call.
It's unreal. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about it all night. You notice it right here. Tony playing a big pot with the second best, actually third best hand. He has.
Oh, and the river's a club, and Jerry's got the goods. He has the nuts. And again, this pot is $4,000. How about a $2,000 bet at least on the river here?
Now, the funny thing is, if Frank checks,
He did, and
there you
Tony
go.
checked.
If Jerry bets here, if
bets
Frank
2,000.
doesn't call, does Tony call? And here we're going to find out.
And look at this. Frank gets away from it. He gets away from Jack 9. And Tony calls with King Jack. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and that's just...
Oh,
I got to
man.
tell you know what? I got to tell you, rarely do I like to pat ourselves in the back, but we're friggin' geniuses. Tell me we didn't paint the picture of Tony just perfectly. I mean, is it ridiculous? Is it ridiculous how we paint this picture? We see him flop the nuts before, right?
yeah.
And he made himself like $200. And here, he has top pair with no kick. I mean, king kicker, big.
Yeah.
He can't even beat ace jack. Then the third club comes out there, and somehow Tony figures out a way to lose $3,000 in that pot.
I mean, the guy bet 2,000 on the river, which I think is, it's a good bet. It's a half pot size bet. The pot is built up. It's a $6,000 pot, 2,000 to call. And Tony didn't even think about it that long.
Yeah, we're hammering him, but you know what? I'm sorry. I don't even think Barry could paint this guy well.
Yeah,
I mean, he was in third place. I mean, he was drawing dead to a king. But oblivious to the fact that one guy is betting, you're calling, and a guy is calling behind you.
Yeah.
I mean, how can King Jack be good there?
I'm gonna play half tournament to make the money next time. Might as well make chips right now.
That was my feeling. I was gonna double it up or go out.
And look at this. Jeff's got pocket aces here in seat 6 in the big blind. And seat 1 is going to raise it here to 110. Looks like he's got pocket 7s. And now with Frank coming in on the button, you imagine Jeff is going to repop it here out of the big blind.
Well, I think I have to raise both. I like this.
Actually, George has got 7-8. He does not have pocket 7s. Frank calls it the suited connector.
gotta
You remember
tell you-
what Barry Greenstein said? That he considers Frank Mariani, if he wants to play well, a good player.
Frank played that hand perfectly.
Yeah.
Bet the Jack 9. Bet the Jack 9. Okay. Club got there. He realized that one of his opponents had to have it. Okay, check and fold. And he could not have played that hand better.
Let's see how much Jeff is going to make this more.
Something's definitely gonna happen.
So 110 to call, right?
110 to call.
Interesting post here on 2+2 by John Dadson talking about how often you need to call a bluffer on the river. Rarely do I like to tout anything Jive says, but hey, in this case, it's actually quite intelligent.
Now, how much did he make it? He made it 230 more. Quick call here by George. Remember, these guys are both deep. Jeff has definitely represented, again, you can put him on a range, although he has been raising a lot with some hands out of the blind, but these guys haven't really seen him show down.
Yeah, I think Jeff needs to raise it though, with Jeff's image, you know?
Jack 3 deuce here. Well, it's pretty safe.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's missed this. Jeff way ahead.
That's nice, yeah.
And Jeff's going to take it down. Man, that was just an unbelievable hand. I mean, I got to tell you. You actually heard
I mean,
it.
you said, is he going to call? And before we even look up, he's got the money in there
Yeah,
with
it was
King
just-
Jack.
I mean, I even saw it. I go, watch Frank fold this.
Yeah.
And Tony call. And the funny thing is, oftentimes you hear people, like in our 2+2 or email going, wow, Frank Mariani's such a live one, you know?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Frank played that hand perfectly.
Button moves here to seat 5.
The funniest thing is, a couple of nights ago, you came over to me. I was playing in a 10-20 game. You were playing in a 5-10 game. And you come over to me and you go, Dave, I got to talk to you. And I go, what? And obviously you and I kind of like any crew, any poker crew, you and I obviously always talk about hands and kind of banter back, seeing what works and what doesn't work. And you come over to me and you go, I made this play, and I represented and did this, and Tony called me down with it. And I'm like, wait a second, which Tony?
Right.
I stopped you right there. I go, which Tony? You go, Filipino Tony, tournament, Tony.
Yeah.
And I go, you tried to bluff Tony? And you go, what? And I go, yeah. I mean, that's your first mistake. I couldn't believe you tried to bluff him. I mean, after this, I'm assuming you'll never bluff him again.
Yeah. It's always going to be a bet for value. 9-5-3 here. Now, Frank's open-ended in seat 4.
Paul's got 2 pair.
Wow, Paul's got top 2 pair here. And it looks like he checked it, and Frank is going to bet.
And I think it's a pretty straightforward. I mean, there's a couple of ways to play this, but I think 9-5 is strong enough to raise right away. I really
doesn't
do.
look like Paul is all that deep, and he is just going to call.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean,
Paul's been slow playing all night. Frank is open-ended.
you got to realize that if your opponent has a 9, though, and of an ace, a king, a queen, or a jack.
Oh, he did check raise, Dave. A little
Okay,
bit.
there you
He
go.
did check raise.
I was going to say, you got to put some heat on this guy right away. Let's say Frank's got 9-8 or 10-9. You don't want a card to come off to kill your action. And all the money's going in here.
Yep, it's all in there.
We're seeing a race here well, not a race actually. It's Paul's about a 2-1 favorite,
It's probably about a $1,600 or $1,700 pot.
and Frank's going to need a 7 or a deuce, and Paul obviously can catch a 9 or a 5 to close it out. And Ronnie's predicting the deuce.
Oh, the turn's a 7, and Frank's got it. Paul needs to fill up now, and he does not, and Frank's going to win it. There it is, the 6-4.
And, I don't consider that a bad beat. I mean, the guy raised, Frank pushed with the straight draw. Hey, that happens. That's poker.
Looks like Frank really enjoys, he used to play, he played a lot, he plays a lot in those mixed games, but it seems like every time he's here, he really wants to play the biggest no-limit game that we have. That's his choice now, in terms of cash game.
You know what, I got to tell you, it's funny. I was playing in the no-limit game today,
Yeah,
and I'm sitting next to Tony, our host, our no-limit host.
right.
And I hear in the
Tony
background,
Chang.
and I hear in the background, seats open, 20-40 limit, seats open, 20-40 limit.
Yeah.
And I'm going, man. I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, seriously, I made a living playing limit hold'em, well, limit poker actually, all sorts of limit poker, for like pretty much a year and a half to 2 years.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you now, it's like I look back at it going like, I mean,
How much money did I lose by
I
not
can't
now?
imagine. I mean, my hourly in a 20-40 game might have been $30 an hour.
Yeah, if it was good, right.
$28 an hour.
Right.
And my hourly in the 10-20 game is like $180 an hour.
Right, and you almost, well,
And I'm risking almost the same
yeah,
amount of
it's
money.
almost the same risk. I was going to say, in the 5-10 game, I almost look at it as comparable risk to the 20-40 limit game.
Oh, no, it's
and
not
you
even a
make
question.
3 or 4 times as much an hour.
I got to tell you, in a bad day, when I'm playing 10-20 game,
Yeah.
a 10-20 game, in a bad day,
10-20 no limit.
I lose $2,000.
Right.
Well, really bad limit day, I can lose $2,000 or $1,500.
Absolutely. I had days when I played that 30-60 game and got crushed for like $2,500, did everything right over about 2 hours. Just the run of cards.
Yeah, especially if you're playing shorthanded in
Yeah.
a tough game.
Yeah.
Apparently, Ronnie's now making $4.50 an hour. He plays the 1 cent, 2 cent online. It's pretty actually a phenomenal rate considering what the stakes he's playing.
Ace Jack 10 here with a couple clubs. Were you telling me, and I don't know if it was off the air or maybe it was on the air, that Phil Locke played like 1 cent, 2 cent to kind of to revamp his game a little bit or something?
Once again, you did not read my blog. Will you read any of my blogs
Oh,
ever?
it was in your blog that I read it?
You didn't read it.
No, where do you think I'm getting this from?
I told you. Don't lie and say you read my blog.
No, I did read your latest blog.
You're such a bitch.
I'm telling you, that's where I must have remembered it from your blog.
Now here we go. Jive Dadson says, Tuck touts the importance of having the check raise in your arsenal. As we used to say when playing darts, straight but late. I'm assuming that's a compliment.
I don't know.
No, I think that is.
Maybe he's talking about that.
No, I think that's meaning I'm right, finally. Better late than never. I finally actually came out with something that was good advice.
Oh, I see.
And I can't believe it actually came from Jive. I think Jive and I are starting to actually like each other.
So tell us, I'm interested in this 1 cent, 2 cent thing with Phil Locke.
Read my blog. I wrote about it.
Okay, but can you fill other people in, though? Or just read
They
the
can
blog?
all go to
Okay.
my blog, too. It's on the left-hand side of the screen. Under the Gun with David Tuckman.
Okay.
I'll make you a deal. Read the blog. If you still have questions after that, I'll tell you about it.
Jeff raced it with Queen Jack of Hearts.
I wrote about the entire thing. If you can't read, send me an email with a bunch of X's, okay? And I will then say it on the air.
Well, you know we're going to get some of those now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sure.
We've got about a half an hour left in the show here. So tomorrow we're probably going to be doing, I would assume, at least 20-40 no limit. Saturday, I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to have a lot of names coming in and out of here. at
Yeah, I
noon
mean,
time.
Saturday might be, obviously we're going to have some game going on, but it'll be a lot of interviews. A lot of interviews.
And Mo's going to do another 5,000 on Monday. We're at another 5,100.
Yeah, who knows? We might even have 2 next week. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we're going to try to push the envelope as far as we can this next week and a half. We are going to work extra days, apparently. Got to talk to my union rep about this.
What happened? When?
5,100, tell him.
No, Monday, no, Monday, Saturday, thank you.
4-way action here. Ace Jack 9 with a couple of hearts.
Oh, Jeff's got an ace. I mean, wow, and he's moving all in. Now, Francois obviously switching seats there to seat number 9. Jeff with ace deuce there, obviously. You know, he's got the best hand. He'll probably put a little feeler bet out there, see where he's at. If he gets any action, you know, any heat at all, he's going to get rid of it.
Yeah, maybe.
But he should take it down. Once again, if you have any questions for us, you can always email us at live@thebike.com. Try to get to them as much as possible. Interesting email here from Jason Whitmore talking about the heads up. He says, "Hey, Bart, thanks for the explanation and for being honest. You're a pro for a reason, and the synopsis was understood. Thanks. I still think you guys should arrange something in stakes you are comfortable with. And the funny thing is, it's not a matter of you being comfortable. I don't think you're uncomfortable playing for $2,000 a pop. That's not the issue. The issue is, do you really want to? I mean, I don't know about you, Jason, but I can find a better spot for my $6,000.
And the thing is like we could make it kind of smaller stakes, but then I think it would just be kind of fucking around for Mike, you know.
Well, it'd be screwing around for you too. I mean, okay, let's say you played heads up for $100.
Right.
Yes, I know you'd do that. I know Mike would do it.
Right.
But then you wouldn't see true heads up play anyway.
Right.
You'd see the two of them not really caring.
Right.
I mean, if you really want to see them playing for real, it's got to be for stakes that are meaningful for both players.
So you would play him on the show in that format, though, a freeze out without escalating blinds,
I might. Yeah, I might.
or you might not, right? You don't. It's not really.
Yeah, and I wouldn't commit to it. Like I said, it's not.
Four-way action here. We have a raise by Frank with Deuce 5 suited out of the blind.
I mean, I can afford it, but at the same time, it's a matter of where do I want to put the $2,000 or $4,000 or $6,000? I want to find a good spot for it.
Here's an example. He's made it 120 here with Deuce 5 suited out of the blind. I guarantee you, if he flops trip fives or flops trip deuces or a flush, he will bet.
Right.
Well, Jack 3, Jack. Wow, Jeff's got Ace Jack. Now, this is one of those times, we talked about it last night, if Jack gets tricky with it and it gets checked around and an 8 comes off.
He's going broke.
Right. Now, it gets checked to Francois. He's going to bet.
I like the bet by Francois. I really do.
Yeah, he's in position.
You got to bet that. I mean, there's one player behind you. And now, Tony's one of those players, he never believes, like, if you bet this, you can't have a jack.
Right, ever. Right.
There's no way you can have a jack.
He might call with Ace 3 there.
He might call with 3-4 there.
Right.
He was thinking of calling with King 5 just to make a move.
Right.
Thinking there's no way you could have a jack.
Well, now you got to start thinking, do you check the turn here and take a free card if this guy calls you?
You might. Yeah, I mean, at this point.
Ooh, turn's a 7. That was close, Dave.
That was close. And he's going to
Yeah,
close,
look at
and
that.
Francois is going to take the card.
Yeah.
And unless an 8 comes off here, it does not come. Jeff's going to put a value bet
now,
out there.
Now Francois can't beat anything. If Jeff check called you with 3.
No, and Jeff's going to bet, which means he's either A, bluffing, or he's got a jack. And I got to tell you, 99 out of 100 times, he's going to have a jack here. And it's such an easy laydown, it's ridiculous.
Wow, he's going to overbet it. He bets 2,000 here.
It's a nice bet by Jeff. He's trying to disguise it. He's trying to make it look like he's trying to buy the pot with an ace. And that's the only reason that Francois is kind of even thinking about it here. He's going, why are you betting so much? It doesn't make any sense.
He's bet 2,000 into a $1,000 pot. It's a $2,000 call to win a $3,000 pot.
And then this is the one part of the hand that Jeff's actually played pretty well by betting so much. Sort of confusing. You see before Tony betting $110 when he wants a call with the nut flush.
It's a $1,700, and this is really confused Francois. Why is this guy betting so much here?
Yeah, I mean the pot is only what, $800?
Well, it's about $1,000. It's a $1,700 bet.
So you're betting $1,700 into a $1,000 pot.
And again, I don't want to get on Tony personally, but this is a play he would never do. He'd bet $150 here on the river with Ace Jack.
Right, into a $1,000 pot.
Right.
Pretty much begging for a call.
Right.
And of course your opponent would go, well, you can't be bluffing here. You want to call so badly, and they'd throw away the 8s.
Right.
Now Francois, I think, is going to get rid of it anyway. But Jeff, you got to hand it to him. At least he's confused him a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow, I think Francois called.
No, he hasn't done anything yet.
Oh, I thought he said he called.
No.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, you can't call this.
He's really thinking about it, though.
Well, it just looks like Jeff is trying to make a move. Now, Francois watches Live at the Bike, by the way, and has watched Jeff this week and knows Jeff is capable of making a move, though.
Yeah, but again, you got to think, though, on the river,
I'm with you. Like I said, 99 out of 100 times, this guy's got a jack.
And if he ran into a pair like he had a 7 or he had pocket 6s, he's not going to bet that amount on the river. He's going to hope to show it down or something like that.
No, of course.
You know
I mean, Jeff's got to have either, nothing or a jack.
Absolutely nothing or a jack. He wouldn't probably bet a 3 like that either, obviously.
Oh, no, 3 is going to check down. Hope that he doesn't get, hope the guy doesn't have to call, or doesn't bet a lot, actually. You're 100% correct.
Did I miss a strap or did I strap?
Monster or a bluff. And it was also interesting that Barry Greenstein said that once you get up to his level, he makes you pay when you value bet hands because he will check raise with big hands and he will check raise with nothing.
Well, that's one of the reasons why one of the reasons why I tout value betting is at our level and at most of the people that play in these games, because most people don't play with Barry Greenstein,
right?
And at their levels. So most players you can value bet because most players are not capable of check raise bluffing on the river.
Yeah,
they're just not capable of doing it. And if you're not going to check raise bluff on the river ever, well then I can value bet the river every time, and if you do check raise me, I can throw it away.
Frank is going to...
Now I got to tell you, I'd be real careful value betting against Barry Greenstein, because if I give away that I have a kind of a marginal hand with my value bet, he might raise me off of it.
Oh, never mind.
Well, just like a thing where if you try to value about Mike, he's maybe a guy that might put you to the test with a check
Of
raise
course,
bluff
it's
on
one of the
river.
reasons. Anybody like that? It's those aggressive players that keep you on your heels.
Yeah. Queen 3, queen here. Frank raised it with 9-5 of hearts. He's totally missed. He did not make the continuation bet, and Tony's going to bet with King 10. He takes it down. Now, by Tony betting there, he 100% does not have a queen.
Yeah,
There
pretty
is
much,
no
pretty much.
way he has a queen.
Pretty much, he does not have a queen there.
I mean, that's
I
what
played hands with him a couple times where there were a couple times where he actually bet. There was one hand in question. The flop came out 6 deuce deuce. I had king deuce.
Right.
Okay. I think I called like a little mini raise
Right.
with it. Like I would limped in or something, and I'd called a mini raise. I just felt like it for whatever reason. Flopped the deuce. I had trip deuces. He bet it. The guy called. I put in a raise. Tony called. The other guy threw it away. All the money went in pretty much on the turn, and Tony just could not believe that I had a deuce and I would raise right away.
Right.
Could not believe it.
Well, that's the play that I made against Tony. The flop came out ace, 6, ace. He bet, and I came out and raised him, Dave, because I knew he didn't have an ace, and he called me all the way down on a turn and a river bet with queen 6.
Right, because the problem was, if you want to make a guy like that think you have an ace, you have to play it the way he would play it,
Right.
not the way you'd play it.
Right.
And that's where you got to look at it that way.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird things that if you're going to bluff somebody, sometimes you have to actually play differently than you normally would play, because you have to make it seem like in their head that that's how they'd play it.
4-way action here.
Does that make sense?
No, it did.
It did, okay, I
Absolutely.
wasn't sure.
Yeah. Queen 10-7 here with a couple of spades.
Jack with the best hand, and Jack's going to bet it.
Yeah, he bets king queen. That's going to do it. That's why it's sometimes funny, Dave, that when we are playing with each other at the same table, you know, I was talking about, I think I read a hand pretty correctly that you were playing in today, and you can sometimes read me.
You like that bluff, though?
Yeah, well, let me get to my point.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You know, we might play a hand in such a way where we know that we wouldn't do this. We know we don't have what we're representing because we really wouldn't play it that way, but we're playing against competition that doesn't know us. But I'm still watching you at the table. And
Or
I
I'm
kinda
trying
know.
to mix up my play against a guy who might try to represent and change something.
Right.
It was an interesting hand, though, actually, the flop. But the guy raised out of the blind. I had, for whatever reason, I was in there with queen 5 suited, queen 5 of clubs. We were actually playing pretty short, weren't we? And the guy raised out of the blind, and the flop came out king, like 3 with 2 clubs. And he bet into me, and I really knew he didn't have a king. I said, this guy, there's no way he has a king, he wouldn't bet it. So I called him one time thinking, okay, I'll make a move on him.
On the turn. You had club draw.
I had a club draw, so I'm thinking, but instead of raising him right away, which is what I might normally do with a king, I go, okay, well, how will he think I would play a king? Normally, he would think I would probably call it and then raise him on the turn, which is what I was going to do. Well, he checked me on the turn. I betted. He raised me, and I really knew he did not have a king. So I called him with my flush draw. On the river, he checked blind to me. I moved all in, and I got him off his hand.
Right, well, he had nothing, though.
He had ace high.
Right.
I had queen high.
Queen 4-5 here with a couple clubs, and Frank here raised with pocket 7s. He's got the best of it.
But it was kind of funny. I mean, the pot was like 5,000, only like 1,800 to call. It's one of those really tough spots on the river where I actually had to decide, do I have enough to get him off of whatever he has? And I thought maybe he had like a pocket pair.
Wow, and Jeff is going to raise him with ace-jack here. A bet by Frank and a raise by Jeff. By the way, I think that guy's pretty live.
Which one?
The guy that we played with this afternoon. He's been on the show a couple times.
Which one?
The guy that you were talking about with the when you.
Oh, he's... Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He's ridiculously live. Why do you think I moved to seat 2?
Yeah.
So I get position on him. Oh, my God.
Wow, and look at this. George's call with a gut shot wheel draw. He called a bet, a raise, and there's 2 clubs out there. And is Frank overcalled here? Wow, and this pot is quickly over $2,000. The turn's a 10. Frank still has the best hand with 7s here.
Yeah, George plays it. George is really a gambler sometimes. I tell you, sometimes George is he is literally like a riverboat gambler.
Dave, Frank bet, Jeff raised, George called, and Frank overcalled. I don't think, it's funny. You wonder if Frank doesn't believe this guy.
Well, the thing is, you don't think George has got anything. George might have a flush draw, right? Okay? Because he's called. Now, Jeff making a raise doesn't necessarily mean that much, but Frank's not going to fight it anymore.
Frank's out of there.
And once again, look where Jeff wins the pot. It's on his button. Jeff always likes to play his button hard.
And how long are we going to go for on Saturday? We might do kind of an abbreviated. If the tournament starts at 2, or we're gonna do a normal 3 hours.
That's no good.
Normal 3 hours, okay. Because I think what might happen is the whole thing might break down right at 2.
That's what I was
Because
Well, a good chance,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Oh, getting word in my ear that everyone has to register on the first day, so it doesn't mean that they're going to play.
Well, there are 2 first
They have
days.
to come in on the first day, actually? Oh, really?
There are 2
So
first
there
days.
will be guys hanging around doing nothing then, so maybe
Well,
we will have a
they
hell
might
of
be
a game.
playing poker, right?
That's what I mean, yeah. Yeah.
No, you know the game's going to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, because if Ivy wants to play in the tournament, if Doyle Brunson wants to play, they'll be here, even if they're not starting till Sunday.
Yeah.
And hey, if they're here in a poker room,
Well,
why not start playing a big mix game?
You know, if we get a game like that, you know, maybe we'll go over again or something like that.
Hey,
we
we've
got
got
Phil
the-
Ivey in the game.
We've got the room for Omaha.
Yeah. Ace Queen 4 here. Now Jeff here has got Ace King. He's going to bet 100, and he takes it down.
Take it down, Mr. Brown.
Again, we're going to see some big names coming in throughout the next week.
Oh, it's going to be crazy.
Hopefully, we'll have Negreanu in sometime in the next week.
I mean,
now again, I want to bring up the point though. We're going to keep the video blog up because go and check out the video blog, the way that David and I analyze the hand between him and Gus Hansen, because we will come and ask him about it. Maybe he can even watch what we said before.
Although I will say, now that I know who they are,
absolutely no, I know.
it changes because of not because of who they are,
Right.
but it changes because I know how familiar they are with each other.
Right.
It'd almost be like if somebody was analyzing a hand between me and you.
Right.
You really have to throw almost everything out the window because I know you so well and you know me so well.
Well, you know,
we have to play it a little unorthodox.
I asked Barry Greenstein last night, you know, with his analysis, does Daniel bet a pair of kings there on a one-liner to a straight at the
said
river
yes.
after getting check-raised on the flop and calling a bet on the turn? Would he bet kings there on the river? I'll ask, you know, if Daniel comes in, I'll ask him that. I'd love to hear what his answer is.
Well, Barry said he would. Barry thought it was a good chance he would, and more importantly, was Gus thought he would.
Right.
Because obviously Daniel really sold the fact that he had aces or kings or queens, and Gus really thought Daniel would bet at overpair. And I got to give the benefit of the doubt to Gus Hansen or Daniel Negreanu because they know each other so well. They've played so many hours together.
Right. Well, George has come out and semi-bluffed here on the turn. Frank is called with a pair of threes, and that's the best hand. George is open-ended here. He actually could catch a 4.
Now, if an ace were to fall, Frank might
Frank's
get in
got
trouble.
2 pair. Well, the river's a 7. And is George going to bluff at it here? Now he just gives up. Now, does Frank think he needs to bet to win here, though? Because remember, what does a check on the river usually indicate? That
Well, that's
maybe
the thing, right?
George can show his hand down, right?
That's the funny thing. Normally, a check on the river means I don't need to bet this. My hand is good enough to show down.
Yeah.
Although Barry pointed out again last night, oftentimes somebody will bet the turn, and because they know that your call on the turn means that you will call the river as well, they
Right.
just figure, okay, forget it. I'm done with it. I'm shut down.
And that is a new player there in seat 5 again. That's Michael. I
Yeah,
believe.
Michael's a solid player. I played with him a couple times.
Yeah.
He actually played last night with Ron Rose, 25-50 heads up.
Really?
Yeah.
25-50. They upped the limit a little over there in that 10-20.
Well, they wanted to keep it heads up, and they couldn't if it was
Oh, so they
10-20,
changed it.
so they just changed it to 25-50.
Oh, cool.
Give him time.
Now,
Because otherwise, if they made it 10-20, they would have forced a must-move thing on them.
and again, though, you can't, you know, somebody can actually come and play in that game, but what they do is they'll just say, all right, well, we're not going to play anymore if you sit down.
Yeah,
Because you can't really have a private game, per se. But usually everyone's cool about it.
At that level, you probably could.
I think that if someone says, I want to sit down, I don't think that...
Really?
I remember hearing a story about Ted Forrest, one of the biggest games he played in the Bellagio, when some guy was playing heads up. I think it was against, early on, one of those Andy Beal types things. He didn't know it was a heads up thing. He came and sat down. And they didn't really want him, but nobody told him, and they started playing three-handed. And I might have confused
Well, they
that
didn't
story.
want him, but I'm assuming, let's say Doyle Brunson and Phil Ivey come in here and they go, we want to play heads up in the corner. I'm assuming the Bicycle Casino will allow that.
You know what? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just...
Hey, you know what? Then I'm going to test it.
All right.
If Doyle and Phil Ivey sit down, I'm going to try to join them.
Now, Jeff is raised here with pocket nines, and Frank
I might have to sell my house
has called with 7-10.
just to get the minimum buy-in, but hey.
Yeah.
And that might not be enough.
King Jack 6 here with a couple spades.
Jeff's still the best hand, but a pretty ugly flop for 2 9s. 3 spades out there. Jeff's usually good about doing that continuation, but I got to tell you, I really compare Jeff favorably to like old school Barry Woods.
Yeah.
That aggressive, kind of gunslinger that Barry Woods used to be.
Well, you think he's just kind of slowed down because he's been on kind of a losing streak lately?
I think that affects a lot of players. I think a lot of players, when they start losing, they start doubting themselves. Their confidence starts to wane, and they start changing their game because they start questioning themselves. They're scared to make the moves. They're scared to bet because it's not working.
Frank, that's my favorite kind of work.
Frank, have you ever worked?
Hey, are you guys hiring over there? We're doing very little.
And apparently, Ronnie was asking me which players will not be here because of WPT because they're boycotting it. And that will be the Big Seven, pretty much, which is Phil Gordon, Greg Raymer, Joseph Hashem.
Hashem's a part of that? I didn't
Andy
know that.
Block. Who I swear, who gives a shit if Andy Block is in it or not?
Andy
Talk about a friggin' dry
Andy
piece
Duke.
of cardboard he is.
Andy Duke and Phil and Howard Lederer, is that right?
Yeah, pretty. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I beg you. I promise.
Although I'm not sure, is Andy Duke part of it too? I know Howard Lederer is. I don't know if Andy Duke is. Yeah, maybe she's. I don't know.
You mentioned Raymer, right?
I know Raymer, Hashem, Phil Gordon, Andy Block. I don't know. It kind of it was funny after talking to Negrano about this. I've done a little bit of research about it. It just drives me nuts. George and Jeff with the best same hand here. So, and neither one is on a free roll, so we're pretty much going to see this go down.
Well, Jeff is going to bet. Let's see how this hand plays out, because obviously Queen 10 can't take a lot of heat, and you wonder if Jeff's betting here, does he feel he might be out-kicked here?
Oh, and Chris Ferguson no longer plays.
Oh, okay.
Chris Ferguson is one of them.
Turns a 7.
Well, neither player has anything. Okay. I mean, any free roll.
Jeff is going to come out and bet again.
And George can't do much but call here, can he?
Yeah, but I'm saying, how much money
Wow.
can Jeff continue to put in the pot? Queen
1,100
10?
Jeff is betting.
And a call, and the river is an 8. Man.
What the hell's an 8 mean?
Well, it's a one-liner to a straight now. It's a third heart.
You make it out like, and the river's an 8!
This one might go check.
I mean, I suppose if somebody called him with 7-5 on the flop, he got there.
The funny thing there is, do you need to... Let's keep that board up there for a second. When Jeff checks to you with Queen 10, and you have Queen 10, you've called all the way, how do you possibly think your hand is going to win in a showdown? I mean, if I'm in there, I think I might have to bet that river, right? I can only beat Queen 9.
But then again, the pot is already $3,000 now. I mean, do you really want to bet $3,000 to take it down, to get him off Queen 10? I don't know. It's funny. Anyway, so back to this point, and like I said, I don't bemoan anybody. Lawsuits are fine, but at the same time, I just don't understand it. When you're talking about a bunch of players who are basically, for whatever reason, it just seems to me that like they think they're bigger than the game now.
Is that what Negrano was talking to you about?
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, like I'm not saying Steve Lipscomb was perfect. Obviously the World Poker Tour has its problems. Whether its release form is too, it's too grand scale and you shouldn't sign it or whatever it is. But I mean, we as poker players, professional poker players, especially the ones that are now in the limelight, Barry Greenstein, Phil Gordon, Andy Block, players like that are sponsored across the board, they should be kissing Steve Lipscomb's ass. This is the visionary that created the World Poker Tour and pretty much helped poker explode, isn't he?
Well, I guess it's debatable between that and they say the moneymaker effect
Come
and internet
on.
poker.
I'm sure Moneymaker had a lot to do with it, but televised poker,
I got to
which was the whole cards, was
I gotta
huge.
interrupt you here because
Go.
Jack has raised with queens and Tony has made a min re-raise here with jacks. $150 raise by Jack.
Now, Jack never puts money in the pot. We know Jack.
Yeah.
Jack won't put money in the pot unless he got the nuts.
I mean, would you re-raise with jacks here against Jack?
You might, only because pretty much you could probably check it down the rest of the way. That's the only reason why.
Call here by seat 3. We need to see his cards. Seat 3.
Yeah, we do not know what seat 3 has.
He's got pocket
Sixes.
6 as well. Maybe he thinks he's deep enough. Here we
Well,
go.
I think he is deep enough. He's got like $7,000.
Ace 10-5. Wow, it's a bad flop here. And Mariani's in there with 3-6. It's a $1,200 pot. And it gets checked around. The turn is a 9.
And Jack is still good here. Amazing Tony did not take a shot at
Jack
it.
is going to bet.
Wow, and that's not usually a play you'd see by Jack. Usually he would just shut down and just check it down. Might check call.
Now I'm going to attack. Now we've attacked Tony. I'm going to go all the way and attack his board reading skills. Well, he's going to get away from it. I thought, how can you possibly call there with jacks? Because you can't beat an ace. You can't beat pocket kings, queens, a set of tens, or a set of nines.
Right. And is Jack really betting eights?
Yeah.
Probably not. But let's give Tony credit. He threw it away. Anyway, so back to it. I mean, like I said, obviously the World Poker Tour is not faultless. Obviously they're not perfect, but at the same time, they have created, TV has really created stars.
Let's take a look at the last chip count of the night here.
You guys are doing anything you can to get me off the subject. I can see it.
56,000 here. Francois, luckily for us, is not in both seat 4 and seat 9. That's actually Frank Mariani in seat 4 with 4,500. Jeff in the lead with 16,000. Let's take a look at the differences.
Wow,
So,
Jeff's up 5,000.
Frank Mariani in seat 4 down 500. Francois in seat 9 down 1,200. Jeff up 5,000. Jerry up 41.
Tony down 22.
And Jerry made all that money when, Tony really made that very questionable call with King Jack.
Yeah, that was. You really wonder about that one.
Oh my God.
Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it. I don't know. To me, all these players that are sponsored now that are making money outside of poker, man,
We got a set here for Tony, and he bets it. Well, it is a one-liner to a straight. He bets 100, 5, 6, 8 here on the flop. He's got a set of sixes here.
Well, there you go. You would never put him on a set of sixes, or you'd never put him on 7-9 or 7-4.
Hey, look at this. Francois is going to call with the upper end of a gut shot. Michael's open-ended. The turn is a 3.
Well, now Michael is got a double. Well, actually, I'm sorry, still open-ended, obviously. Duh.
And Tony's going to bet 300 here.
I'm like the only guy I know, though, who has never had a roll.
And now it is a little bit of a connected board. You wonder if he was scared maybe a 9, a 7, or a 4 came off, he might be killed.
Michael check calls here. Remember, it's a total rainbow board. And the river's a 9, and I assume Michael is going to bet this.
Oh, I think it's a no-brainer. And Michael does bet, and he's going to make a nice, healthy bet.
Yeah.
And Tony is very upset, obviously. And is he going to make a crying call here?
1,500 here. He's going to overbet the pot once again. And again, that might really confuse Tony, because Tony would only bet about 200 here on the river. With
Right,
the
if you made the 7, why would you bet so much? That's
Right.
the question. But we see a lot of really good players overbet it when they make their hands.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I don't know how familiar Michael is with Tony, but this is a great bet to overbet.
Yeah, it is.
Because I would be more apt to overbet and get that value of getting more money, because I think Tony's going to be more apt to call an overbet with even one pair than
so the
just
pot
an
is about,
underbet.
what, 2,500, 1,500 to call?
Yeah. That's a good
Man,
guess.
that gives you almost no odds. You're looking at less than 2 to 1 on your money.
Yeah.
You got to be pretty sure Michael is not bluffing.
And Tony
at all.
calls, and it really doesn't surprise me. A great bet there by Michael. And actually, Tony, I think, only had about 700
Oh,
left.
okay. Well, that makes it a little bit
Yeah, it
different
does,
there.
it does.
The
Yeah.
pot is. Remember, the pot is
Wow,
now.
what a great shot there by Ray. Look at that.
Yeah, nice work by Ray.
Yeah.
Now, you got to realize there, obviously, what was the pot there? The pot's only
Well, it's only
1,700,
yeah.
700 to call.
Yeah.
He's getting almost like 2.5 to 1 on his money. Maybe he should
But
call.
again,
Who
though,
knows?
at least Michael put him in. So many guys might bet 300 on the river. Even more of a reason to put the guy in if you only have 700 left.
No, I really like Michael's game. I played with him a couple times.
It's going to be the last hand of the night. Another great show, Dave. I'm pumped that I'm up I might wait about $3,200 in about a half an hour.
Yeah, it's great. You know what? It's about time. You haven't had a great showing on the show for quite a while.
Actually, that's not
It's
really
good.
true.
Well, I'm saying
I
a
think I've
great
won
showing.
every single time.
I'm saying a great showing. That's all. Don't get all huffy.
We've actually had a really great record, you and I.
No, I know we've both done very well, but you actually haven't had a great record in this game, actually. I'll go that far.
I wonder, I'll throw this out there, even for our staff here, too. Would it be an interesting idea to maybe separate the shows that we have been on? I know that they're noted in the archives, but would people might be interested in kind of separating them off? to
No,
the
let's
side?
not do that. I don't
No?
want anybody to figure out how I play.
I'm already getting word that it's too hard.
I talk about it. We talk about how we play enough. Let me get a raise here from
Looks like Frank on the button.
Frank on the button with Jack 8.
Yeah.
Jeff's going to call with suited ace. Aaron's going to call with ace queen. Francois is in there with 9-5 of clubs.
Before I was born. Hey, get it up.
And believe it or not, wait a second.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Francois in there with 9-5. Francois in 9-6 of clubs.
Yeah.
And I believe George is in there with, I see the 5 of clubs and the 8 of clubs.
Oh, it's confusing.
There we go. That's why I got confused. I was trying to figure it out there.
Now, Frank has bet. He makes a continuation bet with Jack 8. He's got top pair, and Jeff is going to check raise with the nut flush draw. And Frank is not going anywhere with the jack. He calls, and this pot is quickly, I want to say $3,000. It was a $1,500 check raise.
Insane.
The turn is a king.
Now, can Jeff use that card to scare Frank? Problem is, though, Frank is a tough guy to scare out.
And Jeff is going to continue to bet.
Well, now you can't beat the king high flush draw. Remember that.
And Frank doesn't bite. He's going to call again. Looks like a $1,500 bet. And he's all in.
I
He's
think
all in.
Frank's actually played it pretty perfect tonight.
And this, we're going to see one card here. This pot is going to be over $5,000. One of the biggest pots of the night, besides the pot that I won.
Right.
Probably the biggest of the night.
And Jeff's going to need an ace or a heart, and that's it.
Yep. $5,000 or $6,000 pot here.
To the river.
To the river.
Hard, baby.
And it's a 6. And
All
Frank
time.
doubles through.
And the ever lovable, friendly Frank Mariani. You know what? It's Mariani bust day.
Yeah.
It's only fitting that Frank would win that hand.
And that is going to do it for us tonight. Again, another great show. Thank you for the guy from Bluff.
Yeah, that was Scott Preston.
Scott Preston coming in here. And this is one for the archives. I might have to go back and watch this too myself.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll watch it. And Bartgasms all night long in the house.
So we'll be back here tomorrow for probably 10-20 no limit or 20-40.
That visual, I'm sorry. I feel all dirty now. I got to go wash myself.
For everybody here in the booth, Dave Tuckman, I'm Bart Hanson. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everyone.
Jack eight.